Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto, Orochimaru Disciple, awakened extraordinary enlightenment talent at first. Chapter 21. If it weren't for your Hazuka clan and the third Mizukage planning to kidnap Lin, she wouldn't have died. So I'm not only going to kill you, I'm also going to wipe out the entire Hazuka clan and destroy the entire Mist Village. Soon, the Mist Ninja Anbu left with the body. Obito stood there in a trance, and his mood gradually calmed down. The figure of Zetsu appeared from behind him, and said faintly. Orochimaru rejected Nagato's recruitment. Obito was a little surprised. It's unlikely. With Orochimaru's personality, how could he not be moved when he saw the Samsara Eye? This doesn't match the information they collected. Black Zetsu continued. Not only that, Kakashi's attack on Orochimaru's base also failed, and only he and Uchiha Itachi survived. There are still strong people in the base, perhaps his disciples that Orochimaru said. Ishihara's state gave him a strange feeling. It was like the sage mode, but it was different, which made him a little uneasy. Obito didn't care much. Knowing the full picture of the Moon Eye plan, he understood that the strength of the so-called strong men in the ninja world now could not be compared with himself after the plan succeeded. Zetsu glanced at him and continued. In addition, Orochimaru is on the way to the land of water with his men. Obito frowned when he heard this. His plan in the Mist Village has not been completed yet. In particular, the important figures and families who participated in the kidnapping of Lin have not yet begun to be cleared. The arrival of Orochimaru may disrupt his plan. But his plan will never be destroyed by anyone. Obito said coldly. Keep an eye on Orochimaru, tell me anytime if there is any situation. I know. On the other side, after leaving the base, Ishihara and Orochimaru immediately moved to another base of Orochimaru. It was still in the territory of the Land of Fields. Orochimaru arranged the people who survived before in the base. It seems that there is already a plan to establish the Sound Village. Afterwards, Orochimaru, Ishihara, Jugo, and several other subordinates with decent strength set off together. They took a boat across the sea from the border of the Land of Fire to the Land of Water across the sea. Not long after, several people finally landed on the Land of Water on the coast. After landing, Orochimaru sneered. Recently, the Mizukage of the Mist Village has gone crazy. He has begun to implement the so-called Blood Mist policy and clean up the blood limit ninjas of the Mist Village on a large scale. Now the Mist Village is divided into two camps, one supporting the Blood Mist policy and the other resisting. Now the people in the two camps are still restrained and have not taken action inside the Mist Village. But in the Land of Water, they have gone crazy killing people, and a large number of people die every day. If this continues, it won't be long before the Mist Village will be destroyed. A person who followed couldn't help but say, what is the madness of the Mizukage? He actually wants to destroy his own ninja village. Could it be that he is under an illusion? Ishihara looked at the other party in surprise. You actually guessed it. Orochimaru laughed grimly. What happens to the Mist Village has nothing to do with us. On the contrary, the more chaotic it is, the better it is for us. Let's go. I've already found the location of the base. Let's go there first. Led by Orochimaru, the group entered the territory of the Land of Water. Along the way, they encountered 4 or 5 fights. Chaotic, bloody, cruel. This is the current situation of the Mist Village and the Land of Water. The few people did not act rashly, bypassed all the battlefields, and arrived at their destination. In a remote and dense forest with towering trees. Orochimaru placed the base in such a gloomy place as always. It's just that this base has never been used, so it's all vacant. It took them some time to finally rearrange all the information and experimental equipment, and the whole base looked a bit better. Looking at the arranged laboratory, Ishihara said. Next, I need some time to learn medical ninjutsu. After the last study of the Sharingan, Ishihara understood what his research institute lacked. A strong insight, and medical ninjutsu. Orochimaru nodded, then narrowed his eyes and said. Speaking of medical ninjutsu, I have a candidate who may be able to help you. I will bring him here when the opportunity is right. Okay. Ishihara raised his eyebrows. If what he guessed was right, that person should be Kabuto Yakushi. It would be nice to be his assistant. Then I'll trouble you with the intelligence for the time being. Although Orochimaru had some intelligence about the Mist Village, the intelligence was too broad. If they wanted to take action, they needed more accurate and timely intelligence. This required Orochimaru to build an intelligence system himself. Okay, Orochimaru understood that in this operation, he was more of an assistant to Ishihara. He had already tried to practice the sage body. The effect was far more shocking than he had imagined. Because of this, Orochimaru did not feel humiliated for being just an assistant, but was extremely enthusiastic. He was even more anxious to advance the research progress than Ishihara. Deep in the base, Ishihara was holding a scroll of medical ninjutsu and reading it quickly. Although Orochimaru's medical ninjutsu is not as rich as Tsunade's. However, as Tsunade's former friend, Orochimaru, who has conducted a lot of experiments in Konoha, still has a lot of information on medical ninjutsu. Medicinal materials, medicines, poisons, antidotes, wound treatment, surgery, human structure, human system, organs. Ishihara is like a sponge, absorbing these medical knowledge crazily, and his knowledge is increasing rapidly. You have read a lot of medicinal materials and understood the principles of medicinal preparation. You have read a lot of human anatomy knowledge and understood the human structure. You have read a lot of poison antidote theories and formulas, and created new poison formulas. You have read the medical ninjutsu palm fairy technique, combined with the fairy body and natural energy, to create a real palm fairy technique. You have read the medical ninjutsu chakra scalpel, combined with the lightning escape, to create the lightning escape scalpel. You have read a lot of medical ninjutsu and knowledge, and created the secret technique life chain. Ishihara, who finally read all the information, let out a long sigh. He shook his aching head. This study session was more tiring than any before, and too much energy was expended in a short period of time. But the result also made him very satisfied. Those secrets are not very important. Even life chains are of no use to him. What's important is the vast amount of medical knowledge in his mind, and the countless spiritual lights that are jumping and flashing. He couldn't wait to conduct research. Soon after, Orochimaru returned with his people. Looking at the smiling Ishihara, Orochimaru was also a little happy. It seems you are making good progress. That's right, we can start the formal experiment now. Ishihara said with a smile, with a very relaxed attitude. As expected of you. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. Although he had long since given up comparing himself with Ishihara, Orochimaru still felt a little incredible when he once again witnessed the entire process of him learning medical ninjutsu. After taking a deep breath to calm down, Orochimaru asked, "Do you have a goal?" Ishihara suddenly smiled and slowly uttered two words. White eyes. Orochimaru's pupils suddenly shrank. Ishihara told him about the Sharingan training method, but the training method was not perfect yet, so he did not give it to Orochimaru. He didn't expect that Ishihara would now focus on Byakugan again. Orochimaru, who has done a lot of research on Sharingan, naturally understands the difficulty. This is completely different from other blood inheritance limits. He looked at Ishihara and couldn't help but lick his dry lips. Interesting, are you trying to catch all the three major eye skills? Ishihara said calmly. I'm not in a hurry, but now if I want to do further research, I need stronger insight, so rolling my eyes is a must. Orochimaru calmed down and his eyes flickered. I see, that's why you came to Mist Ninja Village. There is a Byakugan of the Hyuga clan in the Mist Ninja Village. This incident caused a huge disturbance on the battlefield, which was no secret to Orochimaru. And Orochimaru also understands the special nature of the Byakugan. The Hyuga clan is divided into clan families and branch clans. The white eyes of the separated families have been sealed by the caged bird, and once the caged bird dies, it will destroy the structure of the brain nerves and white eyes. Naturally, Ishihara looked down upon this kind of defective product. So he focused on the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan in the Mist Ninja Village. It seems we are lucky. I happen to have a piece of information about that Byakugan. Orochimaru said with a smile. Ishihara's eyes suddenly lit up. Then let's go. In the country of water, somewhere in a mountain village. Ow, Mei Terumi and others who have the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan are fighting with others. The almost desperate and crazy fighting style of those who attacked them made the battle extremely tragic. Ching struggled to resist the enemy's attack and roared with an ugly face. Assholes, are you crazy? This is Terumi Mae-sama. Does Mizukage-sama want to start a war with all the blood successor limited families in Kiri Ninja Village? Terumi Mae is not an ordinary person. Instead, he has a strong family inheritance and has 2 blood inheritance limits, boiling escape and melting escape. If such a talented person with great potential dies, Terumi Mae's family will definitely go crazy. But the attacking enemy remained silent and continued to attack crazily. Terumi Mae, who was besieged, was shocked and angry. She didn't expect that the 4th Mizukage would dare to attack her. There's definitely something wrong with Yagura, there's no way he doesn't know the consequences of doing this. Now in the Mist Ninja Village, the only clans stronger than theirs are the Ghost Lantern clan and the Taketori clan of the Corpse Vein. However, due to their character, it is impossible for the Taketori clan to gain power, let alone become a Mizukage. And the genius of the Ghost Lantern clan, Ghost Lantern Wanyu, is dead. She is almost the inevitable successor to the Mizukage. He was also the leader of the blood successor limitation family and the ninjas in the current period when the blood mist policy was rampant. Once I die here, the Onodin clan will definitely think that Yagura is going to attack us, and then the Kiri Ninja Village will be completely in chaos. Terumi Mae was anxious. Nothing can happen to her. But there were too many enemies, even Shan Watermelon Gui, one of the 7 blades, was dispatched, and she couldn't escape at all. Hasn't the support arrived yet? Terumi Mae was heartbroken as she saw fewer and fewer people around her. These are the teams she trained herself, and every death is a huge loss. But now they are all dying. And she could hardly hold on any longer. Don't blame me. This is Lord Mizukage's order. Shan Watermelon Pig Ghost gritted his teeth and growled. He didn't know the terrible consequences of killing Terumi Mae, but Yagura would kill him if he didn't do it. He didn't want to die, so he had no choice but to die. Shan Watermelon Dolphin Ghost has a ferocious face, waving its big sword, shark muscle, and attacks continuously. It's over. Terumi Mae's chakra was almost exhausted, and it became increasingly difficult to resist the powerful and heavy attacks, and she couldn't help feeling a little desperate. But, that's it. Buzz. A terrifying chakra fluctuation erupted in the distance. What? No matter Terumi Mae, Yamagata Sugwatuki and others all looked in that direction with fear. This kind of terrifying fluctuation, the power of ninjutsu can be imagined. Once they are attacked here, I am afraid that no one will be spared. Thinking of this, everyone's scalp numbs. The next moment, everyone's eyes widened in horror. In the distance, a beam of light carrying a violent destructive force rushed straight towards them. The opponent's target is all of us. Block them all. Shan Watermelon Pig Ghost hurriedly blocked the big knife in front of him. Then, in the desperate eyes of everyone, a terrifying thunder waterfall blasted down from a distance. Rumble. The violent lightning chakra bombarded the ground, instantly covering everyone. A violent explosion sounded, and the whole earth was shaking wildly. In the distance, Ishihara breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately I caught up. Orochimaru's intelligence was wrong, and they didn't find out the location in the intelligence. Fortunately, Ishihara's perception ability was good. He noticed that there was a fight here and rushed over urgently. Orochimaru's eyes twitched. Aren't you afraid of beating Aoya to death? Don't worry, I've got it under control. To this extent, I'm going to injure them seriously, so no one should die. Ishihara shook his head and rushed towards the battlefield, feeling a little strange in his heart. According to the situation just now, it is impossible for Terumi Mae and Ching to survive. Because there are too many enemies, and there are also strong men like Shan Zigwa and Guigi. But Terumi Mae is the future 5th Mizukage, which is obviously wrong. Could it be that my appearance has triggered a butterfly effect? Ishihara came to the battlefield that was turned into ruins by his attack with doubts in his heart. At this moment, the place seemed to have been washed away by artillery fire and became pitted. The people who had been fighting just now were lying on the ground, and there were also many broken arms and limbs. Orochimaru's mouth twitched. Is this what you said is under control? With such a long distance, it's normal to make some mistakes. Ishihara's face turned slightly dark, and he quickly looked for Al with the anxious Orochimaru. Fortunately, Ching was only seriously injured and unconscious, not dead, so the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go. Orochimaru mentioned Ao and turned around to go back and let Ishihara start research. But right now, wait a moment. A figure among the ruins stood up tremblingly. Is it you, Terumi Mei? I didn't expect you to be able to stand up after being hit by Ishihara. Orochimaru looked at her in surprise. He has collected a lot of information about Kiri Ninja Village. Terumi Mei is one of the important figures, so he naturally knows her. Then his face changed slightly and he hurriedly glanced around, then his face suddenly darkened. Something's wrong. Where are the watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost and the great swordfish? Why are the bodies and weapons missing? Hearing this, Ishihara raised his eyebrows and sneered, something shameful has just arrived. His perception ability did detect Zetsu's appearance. The other party took away the watermelon mountain puffer ghost and the great sword shark. Without any extra movement, he turned around and went deep into the ground. So Ishihara didn't care. A member of the Akatsuki organization, Zetsu should be responsible for collecting intelligence. Orochimaru looked shocked and angry. These fools are really haunting. His face looked a little uncertain. As one of the few people in the ninja world who understands the situation of the Akatsuki organization, especially after experiencing a battle, he became more aware of the power of the organization and the Samsara Eye. He didn't expect to encounter the Akatsuki organization again in the Mist Ninja Village. Orochimaru said solemnly, the Akatsuki organization is very powerful, but they always do things with purpose. I hope they won't conflict with us. I hope so. Ishihara narrowed his eyes. The mentality that had just been slightly relaxed after defeating Kakashi and others became tense again. He is still not strong enough, otherwise there is no need to worry about the Akatsuki organization. Strength. I must master stronger strength. In addition to immortality, he also needs strong enough strength. If he was like Kagaya and gained immortality but was sealed for 1,000 years, he wouldn't be able to accept it. We must speed up the research on the limits of blood inheritance. The research on the blood inheritance boundary can not only help him complete his research, but also further enhance his strength. Beside, Terumi Mei watched the two of them discussing in front of her like no one else was around, feeling a little angry in her heart. But thinking of the attack just now, she could only hold back her anger and observe the two of them carefully. Strange, who is this boy named Ishihara? He can talk to Orochimaru on an equal footing. And according to Orochimaru, the attack just now was done by Ishihara. Terumi Mei looked at Ishihara's handsome and young face in disbelief. What are you going to do with her? Orochimaru asked, pointing at Mei Terumi and frowning. It is not difficult to kill Terumi Mei, but once he is discovered, he will be wanted by the Kiri Ninja Village. Although he is not afraid, he does not want to cause trouble. Take it with us, she will be useful to my research. Ishihara glanced at the silent Terumi Mei, and then, with her shocked eyes, he picked her up. Ah, put me down. Fool, who are you? Terumi Mei was startled. This was the first time for her, who had been a proud girl since she was a child, to have such contact with a man. Especially the other person's body is so hot. Terumi Mei slapped Ishihara on the back in shame. That strength is quite outstanding in the massage world. Be honest. Ishihara hit her, and the erratic movement of her body was causing trouble for him. You. Terumi Mei's face turned red, but she didn't dare to mess around. In fact, she wanted to test the other party's attitude towards her in this way. Now it seems that at least I am safe for the time being. Soon, the group returned to the base. Orochimaru and Ishihara untied the black gauze covering Terumi Mei and Ao's eyes. What is this place? Looking at the dark and gloomy room, Terumi Mei felt a little uneasy. It seems that Orochimaru has been in Mist Ninja Village for a long time. But she didn't receive any message at all. Are you sure you want to know? Orochimaru asked her coldly. No need. Terumi Mei's face changed slightly and she quickly refused. Ishihara glanced at her, then looked at Ching and said in a deep voice, let's start, take off the Byakugan first. Terumi Mei's face changed drastically, so your target is the Byakugan. Give up, the Byakugan is protected by a special talisman, and it can't be opened without the help of Master Yuan. If you force it to open, the spell will destroy Byakugan immediately. Ishihara and Orochimaru ignored her. The two came to Ching, sealed his chakra directly, and then began to study it. The techniques are a bit complicated, some of which I have never seen before. They seem to be unique to the Mist Ninja Village. It doesn't matter, I'll take care of these. Ishihara looked calm as he watched the technique. The thing he learned the most from Orochimaru wasn't ninjutsu. It's knowledge, a lot of basic knowledge, about chakra, about basic techniques, and more than one secret technique was born. So it's not difficult for him. That's good. Orochimaru breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Ishihara put his hand on Byakugan's charm and began to feel it carefully. Terumi saw this and shouted anxiously. Hey, didn't you hear what I just said? Doing anything will only destroy Byakugan. The Mist Ninja Village paid a huge price to get the Byakugan. If it is destroyed, it will be a heavy loss to the Mist Ninja Village. Just then, Ishihara suddenly moved. He began to quickly write spells on Ching's body. Terumi was shocked when she saw this. Stop it. You will ruin Byakugan. Orochimaru said impatiently and coldly. Shut up and just watch honestly. You. Terumi gritted her teeth angrily and could only look at Ishihara anxiously with wide eyes. She could only hope that the spell wouldn't be triggered, completely ruining Byakugan. But the next moment, Terumi's eyes widened in shock. How is this possible? I saw that as Ishihara finished writing the technique, he began to gather towards the Byakugan position. Then, under Terumi's horrified gaze, the spell that sealed Byakugan fell down. The spell is broken. You, how did you do that? Who the hell are you? Orochimaru said somewhat proudly. He is my disciple, Ishihara. Terumi twitched the corner of her mouth with a look of disbelief. Orochimaru's face turned a little dark. Just then. Poof. Ishihara reached out and dug his white eyes out of Ching's eye sockets. The Byakugan is here. What do you want to do? Terumi was shocked and angry when she saw this scene. The treasure that the Mist Ninja Village acquired at a heavy price was just snatched away. If you dare to talk too much, I will seal you and throw you out. Ishihara frowned impatiently. This woman is really verbose. Terumi's teeth itched with anger. But after the scene just now and the previous attack, she also understood that she might have met someone special this time. So she didn't dare to mess around, she could only endure her thoughts and watch Ishihara's actions carefully. And Ishihara did not shy away from Terumi's thoughts at all. Because after letting her come to the base, he had no intention of letting her go. After seeing Terumi calm down, Ishihara came to the experimental table with his Byakugan and began to study. First let's see how the structure of the Byakugan is different from that of ordinary people's eyes. Ishihara put his Byakugan under the microscope and observed it carefully. At the same time, he recalled the eyeball anatomy information he learned from Orochimaru in his mind, and compared the two. The pupils of the Byakugan are smaller, and their position is different from ordinary eyes. The nerve connections are obviously complex, and they have a large number of chakra meridians. Ishihara carefully recorded the results of each observation. This was his first real experiment, and he wanted to make it perfect. After doing this, he removed the Byakugan's cell tissue for study, and then used chakra to sense the internal structure of the Byakugan. Time passes slowly. Ishihara's research on Byakugan is progressing rapidly, and there are more and more collisions of spiritual lights in his mind. Terumi couldn't help but feel a little distracted when she saw Ishihara working seriously in front of the experimental table. He still looks handsome when he's working, but he's a bit cold. Ah, what am I thinking? Terumi blushed a little with embarrassment at her own thoughts. But his eyes still fell on Ishihara and refused to move. Sudden, Ishihara stood up in front of the experimental table, frowning and muttering to himself. It's not enough. Just this kind of superficial research can't understand the origin of Byakugan's ability at all. Do I have to dissect it? He could feel the aura in his mind enough. He could create new secrets now if he wanted to. But this level of secret skill is not enough for him. This is his intuition, the intuition he got after using the system too many times. Terumi was shocked when she heard Ishihara's words. You want to dissect Byakugan? Once the Byakugan is dissected, it will be completely useless and can never be taken back. Ishihara showed a displeased look, stared at Terumi and said impatiently, Have you forgotten what I just said? Seeing that he was about to take action, Terumi hurriedly said. Wait a minute, I just want to remind you that in the entire ninja world, except for the Hyuga clan of Konoha, you only have this complete Byakugan in your hand. If the dissection goes wrong, then whatever you want to do, you probably won't be able to do it. It's better to keep your eyes on me and think about whether you can try other methods. Orochimaru, who had been watching from the side, did not speak. He just looked at Ishihara quietly, like an observer. He wanted to witness the process of Ishihara creating the secret technique with his own eyes. See with his own eyes how terrifying Ishihara's understanding and talent are. Ishihara calmed down a little after hearing this. He understood that he was too impatient. The emergence of Akatsuki, especially the possibility of a clash with Akatsuki, put a lot of pressure on him. In fact, in the past, even if he looked at the ready-made materials, he often needed a long time of accumulation to create a complete secret technique. And now it has only been a few hours since he got the Byakugan. Mei Terumi is right, there must be another way. Ishihara closed his eyes and his brain started working at high speed. In his mind, all kinds of ninjutsu he had mastered and all kinds of secret techniques he had created flashed one by one. Suddenly, Ishihara opened his eyes and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. Maybe you can try this trick. He immediately took the Byakugan and placed it in his hand, then slowly released chakra to connect with the Byakugan. Then, he smiled in surprise. Success! Mei Terumi and Orochimaru were immediately refreshed and stared at it without blinking. Ishihara was a little excited. Not only has the research on the Byakugan made significant progress, but also because he discovered a secret technique that he had previously ignored. Life Chain. After using it, you can pass your chakra to others and can connect to others, and in this way, you can treat the other person's injuries in time. Originally, Ishihara didn't care, but now Ishihara suddenly realized that this secret technique is very special. Because it has the original ability of chakra, transmission and connection. Just like Naruto was able to transmit the chakra of the Nine Tails during the Fourth Ninja World War. In a sense, this secret technique has touched upon one of the essential characteristics of chakra. Just now, after Ishihara used the life chain to connect himself to the Byakugan, he felt incredibly as if he had an extra eye. A Byakugan. And it was a controllable Byakugan. Life chain, what an incredible secret technique. Since the Byakugan can be controlled, can the Sharingan also be controlled? Can it control people? Ishihara was shocked by his own thoughts. But after thinking about it carefully, he felt that this was not impossible. Just like when Naruto was transformed into a tailed beast, his body would also be controlled by the chakra that wrapped around him. This does not make much sense for my research. Ishihara shook his head, stopped thinking about it, and refocused on the study of the Byakugan. He took a deep breath and reconnected the Byakugan. The black and white transparent vision re-emerged in his mind, and this feeling was very strange. It was as if his eyes had received some special band of light, which could penetrate the human skin, flesh, and bones. And the focus of this vision was also very strange, it was 360 degrees. Could it be that the Byakugan can receive special bands of light in all directions? Or can this light transmit information to each other? Countless flashes of light flashed in his mind, making Ishihara very excited. Then, he focused his vision on the Byakugan. Suddenly, the structure of the Byakugan appeared in his mind in every detail. Even dissection could not allow him to observe the Byakugan so clearly and comprehensively. So that's it, the Byakugan is so special. Ishihara took a deep breath and was shocked by the large number of neural networks and chakra meridians in the Byakugan. This is even more complicated than the human body. Even if he wanted to make it, it would definitely be an epic project. But Ishihara did not have such an intention. Otherwise, he would not be able to create the Sharingan training method. Like the Sharingan, the Byakugan needs to be awakened to have special abilities. So the essence of this eye technique is their chakra. And this vision feels very similar to an ability in an anime I watched in my previous life. Then Ishihara began to study the chakra in the Byakugan. After his chakra enters the Byakugan, the chakra will undergo some subtle changes. It is this change that gives the Byakugan the ability to see through. You carefully observed the structure of the Byakugan and tried to analyze the chakra of the Byakugan. You created the secret technique of the transparent world through your unique vision. The transparent world, not enough. Ishihara took a deep breath and continued to study. The Byakugan he wanted was not just the ability to see through. Mei Terumi and Orochimaru stared at Ishihara motionlessly, not wanting to miss any action. One was curious, and the other was for observation. And Ishihara kept trying to simulate the Byakugan's root with chakra and analyze the reasons for the chakra changes in the Byakugan with chakra. For a moment, the whole laboratory was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Mei Terumi and Orochimaru didn't dare to move, for fear of disturbing Ishihara. After a long time, Ishihara let out a long breath and stood up. Orochimaru and Mei Terumi also breathed a sigh of relief. What's going on? Orochimaru asked impatiently. As long as the research on the Byakugan is completed, they can start researching the bloodline limit. He had discussed this research with Ishihara before, and it was a completely different route from his, so he was so looking forward to it. It still doesn't work. I just developed a secret technique that can see through, but it's not up to the level of the Byakugan. Ishihara shook his head and frowned. Orochimaru was about to comfort him, but he was speechless when he heard the following words. You. Orochimaru grinned, his mentality was a little broken. In less than half a day, you developed a secret technique that can see through, and you still look dissatisfied. How can a mediocrity like me live? Can't we be mediocre for once? Orochimaru was silent. You said you developed a secret technique that can see through things. This is impossible. Terumi Mei stared at Ishihara with her eyes wide open. Are you kidding? In just a few hours, she developed a new secret technique by studying with the Byakugan. And it's the ability to see through things. This is simply a fantasy. What does it have to do with you? Ishihara frowned at her. This woman is a bit annoying. Terumi Mei's face turned red with anger, and she cursed in her heart. I am a beauty with fair skin and a proud figure, and you actually hate me, idiot, blind. Ishihara stared at her. Are you scolding me in your heart? Terumi Mei's expression changed and she hurriedly smiled and said, how could it be possible? You are so handsome. Why would I scold you before I even liked you? Ishihara rolled his eyes. I just want to study your body, but you actually covet my body. Oh, woman. Hey, you don't think I can't see your eyes? Terumi Mei was so angry that she gritted her teeth. If I say another word to you, I'll be like a puppy. But when Terumi Mei came back to her senses, she felt a little weird in her heart. Through the conversation just now and Orochimaru's attitude, it is obvious that Ishihara really created a powerful secret technique in just a few hours. This guy's talent is simply terrifying. She felt like it was beyond her comprehension. Terumi Mei, who is not a research ninja, does not have as personal experience as Orochimaru. But I can also understand that no matter who has seen this terrifying talent, I am afraid they will feel despair. For a moment, she couldn't help but look at Orochimaru with some pity. The legendary Sannin Orochimaru was being ridiculed all day long to show off his intelligence. This was too tragic. Ishihara ignored the two men and continued to think about Byakugan's research. He recalled the last time he studied the Sharingan, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Perhaps there is something wrong with my thinking. The key to Byakugan training is not the study of Byakugan, but the ability to match Byakugan. I couldn't do it before, but I can do it now. Transparent world. By stimulating the eyes with chakra and linking other senses of the body, everything in the field of vision will become transparent, and the blood, muscles, etc. of living creatures will be fully visible. Ishihara regained his energy and immediately used transparent world. In an instant, he felt as if his senses had undergone some kind of change, as if they had been upgraded. Everything around you starts to become transparent. The further away from him, the blurrier the transparent world becomes. The clearest distance is probably tens of meters, which is affected by the extreme distance of the five senses. This woman is in pretty good shape. Ishihara glanced at Terumi Mei's body, glanced again, and then began to study seriously. Terumi Mei, I feel like a fool just peeked at me. Ishihara had already closed his eyes at this time. Take a moment to observe the perspective of the world. After a while, the vision changed to white eyes. Repeatedly gain insight into the way the Byakugan's chakra operates, and analyze the special chakra in the Byakugan bit by bit. He will also recall the contents of the Sharingan training method. There were more and more inspirations in his mind, and they kept colliding. Terumi Mei and Orochimaru stared at him intently, acting even more expectant and nervous than Ishihara. You observed the Byakugan chakra meridians and analyzed part of the Byakugan chakra essence. After combining it with the transparent world, you created the Byakugan cultivation method. Byakugan training method. Perspective chapter. The Byakugan opened by this training method only has the clairvoyance function and part of the power of other functions of the Byakugan. Call. Ishihara let out a long breath, with a smile on his face. Orochimaru immediately asked impatiently, succeeded. Terumi Mei also became nervous. Ishihara nodded and shook his head and said, the Byakugan is not completely successful, but it is completely sufficient for our next research. Orochimaru frowned slightly. I remember that the Sharingan last time seemed to be the same, incomplete. Ishihara nodded and explained, Sharingan and Byakugan seem to be just pupil techniques, but in fact pupil techniques are just the external manifestations of the special features in their bodies. If you want to create a real Sharingan and Byakugan training method, you need to further understand their corpses. Terumi Mei, who was next to him, looked confused when he heard this. The complete Sharingan and Byakugan training method. Can this thing still be cultivated? But Orochimaru and Ishihara don't look like they're crazy. It seems I have to find a chance to go to Konoha. Orochimaru showed an interesting expression, as if he was looking forward to the comparison. Ishihara nodded. We must go to Konoha, but we are not in a hurry. Right now, the Mist Ninja Village can just meet his needs. Thinking of this, Ishihara turned to look at Terumi Mei. Isn't there a ready-made blood successor ninja here? Now we can start the next step of research, Ishihara said calmly. Orochimaru followed his gaze to Terumi Mei, and suddenly showed a cold smile. Indeed, we have the research materials. When are you going to start? Terumi Mei was so frightened by the gazes of the two men that she trembled. What do you want to do? Ishihara said calmly. Next, I need to conduct research on the limits of blood succession. And you exactly meet the conditions to be studied by me. Terumi Mei's eyes widened in shock, and she blurted out, so you want to study me? What the hell? Although the words are correct, why does it sound so awkward? Ishihara looked at Terumi Mei with black lines on his head. Stop talking nonsense and get ready to start. Terumi Mei immediately crossed her arms and looked at him warily. Can I refuse? Let me go and I will pretend I didn't see anything. My family will repay you well. Hearing this, Ishihara looked at her with a half smile. Do you think you can leave here easily after knowing so many secrets? Terumi Mei's heart suddenly sank. In fact, she had had this premonition before. But when Ishihara said these words himself, he couldn't help but feel a little desperate. She had already seen Ishihara's strength and talent, and she didn't think she had a chance to escape. What conditions are required for you to let me go? Terumi Mei asked after a moment of silence. She knew very well that she was now involved in the situation of the entire Mist Ninja Village, and if she did not show up for a long time, it would inevitably cause turmoil. So no matter what, she must return to Mist Ninja Village as soon as possible. Actively cooperate with me in my research, and you can leave if I leave you with the technique. Cooperate with research. Terumi meditated on the image of Ishihara studying the Byakugan just now. From appearance to structure, even the cellular level has been studied. If he also wants to be studied, wouldn't it mean that there would be no secrets left in front of Ishihara? What's the difference between it and mopping it up? No, it's not that shameful even if you're naked. No, it's too shameful. Terumi Mei shouted with a red face. Ishihara sneered. You have no right to resist. Terumi Mei is still seriously injured now, and it is difficult to even move, let alone resist. Ishihara walked up to her and lightly touched his hand, and a drop of blood appeared. Then he condensed chakra into his blood, and then pressed on Terumi Mei's neck while looking at her uneasy eyes. Buzz. Terumi Mei trembled all over, and the violent throbbing made her instantly fall to the ground. Severe pain swept through the whole body instantly. Ah, what did you do to me? A painful and hoarse roar came from deep in Terumi Mei's throat, and her entire face turned pale. I just did a little experiment, I hope you won't disappoint me. Ishihara looked at the painful Terumi Mei expectantly. She just gave Terumi Mei a demon tattoo. He wants to try to see if anyone can withstand his power. If possible, maybe I can accompany him for a long time in the future, and he will not be alone forever. That was punishment, not what he wanted. Ishihara added calmly, if you can get through it, the benefits you will get will be beyond your imagination. Next to him, Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly. He didn't expect Ishihara to be so optimistic about Terumi-Mei, and he couldn't help but feel a little complicated for a while. Are you going to give her the immortality method? Ishihara said calmly. No, but other secret techniques are enough. Orochimaru nodded and felt relieved. The law of immortality is too important and cannot be left to others easily. Immortality. The pain-ridden Terumi-Mei heard this word and her eyes widened in shock. In an instant, the pain all over her body seemed to disappear. This is immortality. The ninja world has never stopped yearning and pursuing immortality for thousands of years. But so far, she hasn't heard of anyone who has succeeded. But now, it seems that Ishihara has found a way. Although Ishihara didn't plan to give it to himself, there is always a chance to get it as long as he stays. Terumi-Mei suddenly had only one thought left in her mind. Hold on. No matter what, hold on. No one can resist the temptation of immortality, including her. And she still has a village to save. She hasn't dealt with that fool yet. She still has too many things to do. How can she not hold on? Time passes slowly. Only Terumi-Mei's painful roar echoed in the quiet base. Stop it, you will die if you continue like this. Ishihara took a deep breath and said. No, I can. Terumi-Mei gritted her teeth and roared with difficulty. Conversations like this have happened countless times. But Terumi-Mei has been struggling to get through it. Ah! Suddenly, Terumi-Mei let out a heartbreaking cry and rolled on the ground in pain. Ishihara watched calmly, but his hands unconsciously grasped tighter and tighter. This is the last rejection reaction. As long as you survive it, you will succeed. Terumi-Mei didn't respond. Her whole body was completely overwhelmed by the pain that seemed to tear her apart. The roar echoed continuously. Terumi-Mei's voice was completely hoarse. He even lost all his strength, and his body fell limply to the ground, twitching. A mysterious transformation was taking place inside her body. I don't know how much time has passed. Terumi-Mei's body suddenly calmed down. Success. Ishihara laughed in surprise. It's simply more exciting than creating a secret technique. He turned to look at Orochimaru. We will have another companion on the road to immortality in the future. Orochimaru nodded. The will that Terumi-Mei showed just now is indeed surprising. I've survived, Terumi-Mei said in a hoarse voice. Congratulations. Don't resist my chakra next time. Ishihara said with a smile, and then used the life chain to link his chakra with Terumi-Mei. Buzz. Terrifying Mei's body was filled with terrifying vitality chakra. In an instant, Terumi-Mei's injuries began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, Terumi-Mei's injuries were all healed. Is my injury healed? She felt incredible looking at her body. That's right, your body has completely recovered and is healthier than ever before. Ishihara continued. Don't resist next time and cooperate with me in my research. As soon as Terumi-Mei stood up straight, she staggered and looked at him resentfully. Just be a human being. I have just gone through such a painful test, and you want me to be used as experimental material. Mist Ninja Village. Just want to do what Mei wants. After discovering that she was missing, the Onodin clan, the Taketori clan, the Terumi clan and the blood successor ninjas began to gather. Prepare for rebellion. The entire Mist Ninja Village instantly fell into turmoil. At this time, in the Shuiying Tower, Zaitu appeared with the seriously injured Zigwashin Pufferfish and the big sword Samahata, and said faintly. Orochimaru appeared and attacked our people. Fortunately, they took away Mei Terumi, so our plan can proceed smoothly. Obito looked unhappy. Orochimaru is such an idiot, I will deal with him after I finish cleaning up here. The plan of the Mist Village is related to Lin's revenge. Whoever dares to hinder him must die. Zaitu said. Something is wrong this time, you will know after you look at this. After that, he directly released the video data he had just recorded. It was the scene of Ishihara using the Thunder Fall. Amazing chakra amount, unprecedented ninjutsu, and terrifying power that can change the terrain. Obito was silent for a while and asked, who is he? Ishihara, the disciple of Orochimaru. Obito frowned immediately. Ishihara is very powerful, but more importantly, Ishihara is too mysterious. He has no information at all, and Ishihara's strength makes him quite afraid. After all, apart from Kamui, his real strength is not particularly strong. Collect his information immediately, the more the better. Before there is enough information, Obito does not plan to confront Ishihara for the time being. His intuition tells him that this is a difficult guy to deal with. Okay. Z's figure disappeared, and Obito looked at the still unconscious watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost and big sword Sagi and said coldly. Useless things, it is a waste to keep big sword Sagi in your hands. After that, he directly used Kamui to take watermelon mountain pufferfish ghost and big sword Sagi into the alien space. Then he looked through the window at the people gradually gathering in the mist village, and his expression became extremely cold. Let's mess it up, the more chaotic the better. In the base. Terumi Mei looked at Ishihara dimly. I heard what you said just now, longevity. She said the last two words heavily. Ishihara paused, then looked at her and laughed. We are joking. I am so angry. Mei Terumi gritted her teeth in anger. But she also knew that such a thing could not be handed over to others. As long as she stayed by his side, there would be a chance one day. Come on, who's afraid of who? Without Ishihara's order, she took the initiative to lie down on the operating table. Ha! Ishihara looked at her back with a smile and said, actually, you don't need to lie there. Mei Terumi's body stiffened, her face flushed a little, but she still lay on the operating table without saying a word. Ishihara felt a little funny, but didn't tease her anymore. Compared to these trivial matters, research is more important. He came to Mei Terumi and felt that she was a little nervous, so he couldn't help but say. Don't worry, the next research will not hurt you, and it may even be good for you, but you need to cooperate with me with all your strength. Good. Mei Terumi was a little confused, but still nodded. After listening to Ishihara's disappointing speech several times, she knew in her heart that the so-called benefits of Ishihara might exceed her imagination. She couldn't help but look forward to it. Ishihara calmly stretched out his hand and hovered over Mei Terumi, then. Life chain. Buzz. Chakra spread out from his hand, falling on Mei Terumi like flowing water, completely covering her. Ha! The moment the chakra fell, Mei Terumi unconsciously got goosebumps all over her body. She took a deep breath and controlled her body not to resist instinctively. Guide my chakra into your body, Ishihara said in a deep voice. After Mei Terumi did as she was told, she immediately felt a strange feeling, as if there was something special in her body, and the strange feeling made her feel uncomfortable all over. It was as if Ishihara had entered her body. It felt strange, and her face turned a little red. Start condensing the boiling chakra now. Ishihara's voice sounded, and Mei Terumi was immediately awakened from her fantasy, and hurriedly did as she was told. Is this the boiling chakra? Ishihara opened his white eyes and instantly saw the chakra in Mei Terumi's body, and at the same time used the life chain for further perception. In this case, he almost felt the entire process of the chakra change in Terumi Mei's body. Water chakra and fire chakra, the two chakras have already completed the nature change in Terumi Mei's body. Not only that, they have also merged in the body, which is the so-called boiling chakra. But this ratio is very subtle. Once the ratio is wrong, it may cause serious injuries to the meridian system in the body, or even death. The ratio is close to 6:4, and the amount of water chakra is larger. It is necessary to further refine the fusion ratio of the two, as well as the timing of fusion. Ishihara said nothing, and his attention was all on research. In this state, his concentration was unprecedented, and he could hardly feel other things. Only his brain was running at high speed. Countless auras and knowledge were colliding and combining, thus giving birth to new secret techniques. Terumi Mei looked up at Ishihara in a trance. At this time, it seemed that the two people were looking at each other. This feeling made Terumi Mei enjoy it very much. Orochimaru stood by and said nothing, staring at Ishihara carefully. Although he still didn't notice anything from the observation just now, he still didn't want to miss any details. Time passed slowly. You observed the formation process of boiling chakra and thoroughly understood the trajectory of boiling chakra. You created the boiling chakra training method. The voice in his mind woke Ishihara up. Ha! He let out a long breath. Although he was a little tired, he was very excited at the moment. It was not because of the boiling chakra training method. But he discovered the principle of bloodline limit. After mastering this, it would be very easy for him to study other bloodline limits. Boiling Chakra Training Method. After practicing according to this method, you will master boiling chakra. The explanation is very simple, but the effect is extremely amazing. But Ishihara looked surprised after reading it carefully. Although it looks like a boiling release training method, the actual focus of the training is on the training of the nature changes of water release and fire release chakra. You can only practice it when both have reached a certain level, or when you already have boiling release chakra in your body. Ishihara looked at it and couldn't help but fall into thought. This reminded him of what he had first learned from Orochimaru. The basics of chakra, the basics. He found that his research eventually returned to the basics. Ishihara thought of his past life. Basic science has not made any progress in decades, and in some cases even hundreds of years. Has completely hindered the development of science. If there are no further research results on chakra, I am afraid that one day in the future I will be stopped by the basic knowledge today. But not now. He shook his head and then disconnected from Terumi Mei. The research is over. Terumi Mei asked blankly as if she had just come back to her senses. It's over for now. Ishihara glanced at her, then walked to the side and took out a blank scroll and started writing. He is not a machine, so he needs to take a rest after working so hard. What's the result? Orochimaru asked calmly as he leaned against the wall. The research on Fido has been completed, Ishihara said while writing. Upon hearing this, Mei Terumi on the operating table suddenly stood up and looked at him with wide eyes. Wait a minute, you mean like just now, you developed a secret technique that can be used to obtain boiling escape through practice? That's right. Ishihara's calm voice made Terumi Mei sit down on the operating table with a dull look on her face. If she could not personally understand the despair in Orochimaru's heart before, at this moment she could really feel it. That is the line of blood inheritance that their family has inherited for hundreds of years and is proud of. For hundreds of years, the elders of the family have been researching the boundaries of the two blood inheritances, but they have gained almost nothing. But it only took a moment for the man in front of him to decipher the secret. He even created a secret technique for cultivation. The gap is simply incomprehensible to humans. Terumi Mei suddenly shuddered, feeling inexplicably afraid. Are you really human? Orochimaru nodded in agreement after hearing this. Ishihara frowned when he heard Terumi Mei's words, you scolded me. Hehe, how could this irritating piece of shit not be human? Terumi Mei twitched the corner of her mouth, I'm talking too much. Here you go. At this time, Ishihara handed the finished scroll to Terumi Mei. Boiling Escape Cultivation Method. This is a secret technique that is enough to trigger the fourth ninja war, and you just gave it to me like this. Terumi Mei's eyes widened in shock, looking at him in disbelief. Ishihara said calmly, the Fido practice method has a certain threshold. You are the most suitable person. Of course, the most important thing is that I told you that this research will be good for you. Terumi Mei looked at the calm Ishihara and took a deep breath, and then said shockingly, when will we start studying melting release? Orochimaru's face was full of mockery, and he had no memory of running back and forth for Ishihara's research. Ishihara was also speechless. I need to rest too. Upon hearing this, Mei Terumi ran over and took the initiative to press Ishihara's shoulders. The strength is good, continue. Ishihara closed his eyes and sat with a look of enjoyment. Terumi Mei was not angry at all, but became more positive. I'll go out first. Orochimaru couldn't stand it anymore. Terumi Mei curled her lips and muttered something unknown. Soon after, the two repeated their previous study. It's just that this time Terumi Mei condensed the melting chakra in her body. You have observed the formation process of melting chakra, and have a thorough insight into the trajectory of melting chakra, and you have created the melting cultivation method. Ishihara read the training method once. Sure enough, the focus is still on the changes in the properties of water escape and earth escape chakra. The key lies in the fusion ratio and timing of the two. Compared with boiling, the principle is almost the same. It's exactly what I thought. A smile appeared on Ishihara's face, and the blood succession limit would be simple in the future. Suddenly, a smiling face appeared in front of his face. Terumi Mei looked at him with a smile on her face. Ishihara, do you want to take a rest? Ishihara laughed and said, don't worry, I will give it to you as I said. He was in a good mood, turned around, picked up the scroll and started writing. Terumi Mei looked at him eagerly, and when he finished writing, she also read it again. Boiling escape cultivation method, melting escape cultivation method, these two secret techniques. This man will completely change the ninja world. Looking at Ishihara, Terumi Mei suddenly felt that the dispute in the village was a bit ridiculous. Someone is trying to eliminate the blood successor ninja and solve the threat posed by the powerful strength of the blood successor ninja. But little did they know that the ninja world already had a way for ordinary people to have blood inheritance limits. It's simply an absurd drama. Terumi Mei suddenly asked, Ishihara, do you think there is any way to make the blood successor boundary more powerful? Ishihara and Orochimaru looked at each other, and they were both a little stunned. They have always wanted to study the limits of blood inheritance, but they have never thought about this issue. It must be said that Terumi Mei's idea attracted the interest of the two of them. Orochimaru licked his tongue excitedly. Interesting, can the bloodline limit be further improved? I don't know the method, but it is indeed possible. Looking at the shocked Terumi Mei, Orochimaru said in a deep voice, don't forget that there is blood elimination above the bloodline limit. Terumi Mei shook her head. I don't mean stronger like this, but to make the bloodline limit itself more powerful or have special abilities. After saying that, she looked at Ishihara. I'm afraid that the only person who can do it is him. Ishihara thought for a moment and nodded. Terumi Mei's pupils suddenly shrank, and she hurriedly said, what method? Elementalization of the body, turning people into the bloodline limit itself. Ishihara said with narrowed eyes. This is unlikely, right? Terumi Mei asked with some uncertainty. No, Orochimaru said excitedly. There are examples like this in the ninja world, right? Terumi Mei's eyes widened suddenly, her heart pounded, and she blurted out excitedly, the Ghost Lantern Clan. That's right, Ishihara nodded. Orochimaru and Terumi Mei were both a little excited. This discovery made Terumi Mei feel even more excited than when she had obtained the boiling release and melting release training methods. The secret technique of the Ghost Lantern Clan is left to me. Terumi Mei said determinedly. She was completely excited about the great things related to her own strength, even surpassing the previous blood successor limit ninja. She must get even the untold secrets of the Ghost Lantern Clan. As for whether Ishihara can do this, she and Orochimaru have no doubt at all. The same was true for Orochimaru, so he didn't say much. How's the research on the immortal body going? Orochimaru asked, licking his lips. When they came to Mist Ninja Village, although their direct goal was to study the blood inheritance limit, their real purpose was to study the immortal method of immortality. Terumi Mei suddenly became more energetic when she heard that it was about immortality. After all, she is now considered a member of this small circle, although she has not yet mastered the secret of immortality. Ishihara frowned. I'm afraid you need to verify this matter personally. I still need some time. He then told Orochimaru about the training conditions of the blood succession limit. Orochimaru suddenly smiled. This thing was tailor-made for him. He can possess shadow-level strength without mastering the limits of blood inheritance, and he has naturally developed the changes in the nature of the 5 chakras to an extremely strong level. It is most suitable to use cultivation methods to master the boundaries of the 2 blood inheritances. Then I'll go first. Orochimaru got 2 blood inheritance boundary training methods from Ishihara's hands and immediately turned around and left impatiently. But after walking a few steps, he stopped, turned to look at Terumi Mei and said in a deep voice. She is still very weak. If you plan to hand over the immortal body cultivation method to her, be prepared to keep it a secret. After saying that, he turned around and left without waiting for Ishihara's response. Ishihara looked at Orochimaru's back and smiled. What a self-conscious experimental subject. Before he could say anything, Orochimaru took the initiative to do the experiment. Although he himself came to the conclusion that the blood inheritance limit can help the cultivation of the immortal body. But the actual results are unknown. Especially based on the history of the ninja world, the path of cultivation of the immortal body and the limit of blood succession are actually 2 paths. One way is the magic of the great toad immortal and other psychic beasts. One way is the chakra training method brought by the Otsutsuki clan. No one will know what the result of combining the 2 will be without personal experimentation. Orochimaru, this fool. Terumi Mei cursed under her breath. Ishihara came back to his senses, looked at her, and said calmly. Even if Orochimaru doesn't remind me, I will use some means to keep you a secret. You can only practice these things by yourself, don't think about using them to improve the strength of your family or village. From the perspective of the future, Terumi-mei is not only very strong, but also has a strong sense of responsibility for the Kiri ninja village. Whether it was dispelling the genjutsu of the fourth Mizukage or restoring the Mist Ninja village, she was the actual promoter. Always safeguarding the interests of Mist Ninja village. Naturally, he wouldn't let Terumi mess around before he planned to disclose everything. Alright, although Terumi-mei felt wronged, she accepted Ishihara's arrangement. Next, Ishihara specifically found several sealing memories and confidential sealing techniques from Orochimaru's database, and read them. You have read a lot of sealing techniques and secrecy techniques, and you have created secret techniques and sealing techniques. Sealing technique. After being used, a memory can be sealed. If the memory is forcibly obtained, the memory will disappear completely. The technique will try to counterattack the person who breaks the seal. If the counterattack fails, the sealed person will die. Seeing the effect of the technique, Ishihara nodded with satisfaction. This technique is somewhat similar to how a caged bird protects its white eyes, and its effect is outstanding. Soon, Ishihara planted the technique on Terumi-mei, and finally 3 small black dots appeared in a straight line on Terumi-mei's right ear. Be careful yourself. Once someone forcibly obtains your memory, you will probably die. Ishihara reminded Terumi-mei after telling him the effect of the technique. I see. Terumi-mei touched her ears and nodded heavily. Ishihara suddenly asked, by the way, why didn't you show up at your mission location before? Terumi-mei's face suddenly showed anger, and she said in a low voice. Because we were ambushed and were surrounded before we even got there. A thoughtful look on the road to Shiuan. I am afraid that Obito accelerated his revenge on the Mist Ninja village because of the appearance of Orochimaru. He thought for a while and said. You don't have to worry about the secret skills of the Ghost Lantern clan. Just wait and see how the situation in Mist Ninja village will develop next. Terumi-mei nodded, and then his expression changed. What's wrong? I've been missing for too long, I'm afraid something has happened to the village. I have to leave now. She looked at Ishihara with a pleading look. If this man doesn't agree, she can't leave at all. Go, remember what I said. Ishihara let her go, and Terumi-mei was temporarily useless. Okay. Terumi-mei turned around and left immediately, without even asking about the immortal body. Ishihara shook his head. Sure enough, the village was very important in Terumi-mei's heart. But he didn't care, but took a break and continued to study. This time he didn't learn new knowledge, but took out the basic knowledge he had learned before and started learning it for the second time. On the other side of the base, Orochimaru was also carefully trying to learn the boiling escape training method. Mist Village, Water Shadow Building. Zetsu, who had left not long ago, appeared again. I already know the purpose of Orochimaru's appearance in the Mist Village this time. Obito was a little surprised, so fast. Z said coldly. That Orochimaru developed an intelligence system in the Mist Village, with mixed personnel, so I can get intelligence so quickly. He came to the Mist Village to collect the bodies of the Bloodline Limit ninjas. Obito was stunned, and then sneered. This guy Orochimaru hasn't given up on the research of Bloodline Limit yet. This idiot. Thinking of Ishihara's figure, Obito paused and continued. As long as it doesn't conflict with us, then let him collect it as he pleases. They can't research anything anyway. In addition, speed up the intelligence collection on Ishihara. He was quite afraid of the mysterious Ishihara. Obito couldn't care about Orochimaru now. Because his long-planned plan to destroy the Mist Ninja village has finally begun. After Terumi-mei disappeared, the Onodin clan immediately gathered Terumi-mei's family to join forces to launch a rebellion. As for the reason, it lies in the special nature of the Ghost Lantern clan in the Mist Ninja village. Since the second generation Mizukage Kido Genjutsu became the Mizukage, and then the third generation Disciple became the third generation Mizukage, the Kido clan has gained the supreme status in the Kiri ninja village. But after the fourth Mizukage Yagura came to power, he began to target the Onodin clan, and even began to involve all the blood successor ninjas. As a result, the power and interests of the Ghost Lantern clan have declined significantly. Originally, the Onodin clan wanted to support Terumi-mei to ascend to the position of Mizukage and return to the top. But he didn't expect that the fourth Mizukage would directly have made Terumi assassinated. This completely angered the Ghost Lantern clan. Not to mention Terumi-mei's family, they were already angry. So the two hit it off and immediately joined forces. Plus the Taketori clan, who were born without any brains. The three major families joined forces, and instantly all the people in the Mist Ninja village who supported the Blood Succession Limited Ninja gathered under the hands of the three major families. A rebellion was launched. Obito has been waiting for this moment for a long time. So he immediately asked Yagura to issue an extremely tough order. Kill all the rebels. In an instant, the Mist Ninja village fell into war. When Mei Terumi returned to the village, she immediately saw an extremely tragic scene. Countless elites from the Mist Ninja village were fighting crazily. Kill these bloody ninjas. Kill the people of the Ghost Lantern clan. You fools, you dare to resist us, kill them. Ha ha ha, this is war. Kill the children of the Taketori clan. Bloody, crazy, tragic. No one was killed or seriously injured at all times. The originally thick fog in the Mist Ninja village seemed to have turned even the white fog into bloody red. Asshole. Terumi-mei's eyes turned red when she saw this scene. This is a civil war. Everyone who died in the battle was a ninja trained by the Mist Ninja village at a huge cost. Even many elite ninjas died in the battle. This is simply going to destroy the Mist Ninja village. Yakura, I'm going to kill you. Terumi-mei was completely angry. She never expected that Yagura would be so crazy that he would not care about the life and death of the Mist Ninja village. At this moment, she felt murderous intent towards Yagura. Whether you're being manipulated or it's your own thoughts, you're dead. Terumi-mei, who was already filled with rage, immediately rushed into the Mist Ninja village. Water release water dragon bullet. Boom. Terumi-mei opened her mouth and vomited, and her terrifying ninjutsu talent was clearly revealed at this moment. The terrifying dragon affected almost half of the battlefield, and the terrifying impact swept a large number of people into the water. The terrifying momentum interrupts all battles. Then, she hurriedly yelled, I'm Mei Terumi, stop it. Brush. In an instant, everyone's eyes on the battlefield fell on her. Terumi-mei roared at the top of her lungs. Take a good look at what you are doing. Do you want the Mist Ninja village to be completely destroyed? People on the battlefield looked at the fallen friends and enemies around them, looked at the corpses everywhere, and the blood was flowing like a river. The smell of blood in the air is so strong that it makes you sick. Ah, ah, ah. The sound of massive vomiting echoed across the battlefield. Even in the Third Ninja War, the Mist Ninja village had never been so tragic. Everyone is going crazy, lying weakly on the ground. What on earth are we doing? Oh my god, the village is finished. Just in the battle just now, Mist Ninja village lost thousands of ninjas, and more than 1,000 ninjas with combat experience. Countless others were seriously injured. This almost weakened the combat effectiveness of the Mist Ninja village by half. This tragic price made everyone sober. If the village is gone, what will happen even if they win this dispute? Dang clang, ding 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 ding. One person dropped their kunai, and then like a chain reaction, a large number of people started dropping their weapons. Even if some people have hatred in their hearts and want to kill people to vent their anger, they dare not provoke public anger at this moment. This sudden war has subsided. But Terumi-mei's anger could not be calmed. Someone has to pay the price. Yakura, come out. Terumi-mei stared at the location of the Mizukage Tower and yelled. Yagura slowly walked out and came to Terumi-mei in full view of everyone. This short figure actually already had a grandson, so Terumi-mei didn't dare to underestimate him at all. Look what you did. Terumi-mei growled angrily. Yagura looked at Mei Terumi expressionlessly, then smiled slightly. Boom. Terumi-mei felt like her head was going to explode. The Mist Ninja village suffered such a huge loss, and Yagura was the instigator, but he was actually laughing. How can you laugh? I'm going to kill him. I want to kill him alive. Terumi-mei roared crazily in her heart. But the pain she just experienced at Ishihara made her endure it without being overwhelmed by anger. Who the hell are you? Terumi-mei burst out a few words from between her teeth, staring at him intently. You should ask me what I want to do. Obito asked in a low voice while controlling Yagura. Only the two of them could hear the sound. Terumi Mei stared at him with burning eyes. Yagura said in a cold voice, "Let the Ghost Lantern clan be exterminated, otherwise, the war will continue." "You." Mei Terumi gritted her teeth and growled, "Do you think you can still order them now?" Yagura suddenly sneered, "Don't forget, I am a three-tailed Jinchuriki. If I completely transform into a tailed beast here, what do you think will happen?" Terumi Mei's pupils shrank suddenly and she shuddered suddenly. The ninjas in the village had just experienced a battle, their chakra was severely depleted, and many of them were even injured. If the three tails appeared at this time, it would be a disaster. "Then, tell me your choice, Terumi Mei." Obito looked at Terumi Mei jokingly, but his heart felt cold. The Ghost Lantern clan was the main murderer of Lin's death that year. So the Ghost Lantern clan must die. Terumi Mei's face was changing, and she was angry and a little helpless at the same time. It seemed like the other party gave her a choice, but in fact she only had one choice, and that was to let the Ghost Lantern clan be wiped out. Otherwise, the Mist Ninja village may not be far away if not completely destroyed. However, the Onodin clan is her family's ally, and has even supported her in becoming the Mizukage. "My patience is limited." Yagura suddenly spoke, his voice becoming extremely cold. Terumi Mei's expression changed, she made a decision, and took a long breath, "Give me some time, I'll handle it." Seeing Yagura nodding, Terumi Mei turned around and waved to the leader of the Onodin clan. Then the leader of the Ghost Lantern clan came to the two of them with the senior leaders of the Ghost Lantern clan. Obito, who was controlling Yagura remotely, almost lost control of his emotions and wanted to kill them himself. But he would not deviate from the Ghost Lantern clan so much. But to make them completely despair. I want to make the Mist Ninja village completely despair. This is the price they paid for killing Lin. The leader of the Onodin clan suddenly felt his heart sink when he saw Terumi Mei's heavy expression. "What's wrong?" Terumi Mei opened her mouth, but couldn't speak. Next to her, Yagura looked at her with a half-smile. The weird atmosphere made the leader of the Ghost Lantern clan feel a little uneasy. Terumi Mei took a deep breath and whispered, "Yakura is controlled by someone, and his condition for ending the war is to let the Onodin clan be wiped out." What? The clan leader and senior officials of the Ghost Lantern clan were shocked. They had already expected that Yagura might be controlled by someone. But what they didn't expect was that the other party's purpose was to destroy their Ghost Lantern clan. "You agreed?" An elder of the Ghost Lantern clan asked angrily. "I have no choice. If I don't agree, he will let Yagura completely transform into a tailed beast here." Hiss. The Ghost Lantern clan took a deep breath when they heard this. Yagura is one of the few perfect Jinchuriki in the ninja world. He can perfectly control the tailed beasts and maximize the power of the tailed beasts. What's more, Yagura himself is very strong. And he is Mizukage, who was originally supposed to be the main force in suppressing the three tails in the Mist Ninja village. But now he has become Sanwei's accomplice. The most important thing is that the other people in the Mist Ninja village have consumed huge amounts of chakra and are unable to stop the three tails. The other tailed beast in the village, the Vulpix, is on the verge of going berserk. In other words, once the three tails goes berserk, no one in the Mist Ninja village can stop the three tails. The people of the Ghost Lantern clan couldn't help but feel a little desperate. No wonder Terumi Mei would make this choice. I'm afraid it would be the same for them. Is there any chance we can do it together? The leader of the Ghost Light clan stared at Yagura coldly and asked. Terumi thought for a while and finally shook her head. If the leader and others of the Ghost Lantern clan were still at their peak, they might not be able to win the three tails at a small price. But now, it would be great if I could meet Ishihara sooner. Terumi Mei couldn't help but have this idea flashing through his mind. Then she would be able to obtain the boiling escape and melting escape cultivation methods earlier, and her strength would be far greater than it is now, so she wouldn't need to be threatened. Unfortunately, there is no if. The leader of the Ghost Lantern clan's heart sank. But there was an elder from the Ghost Lantern clan who couldn't hold back his anger and cursed angrily. "Asshole, we, the Onodin clan, fully support you in becoming the Mizukage. Is this how you repay us?" Terumi Mei's face instantly turned cold. "Didn't I agree to your terms for helping me?" In essence, her alliance with the Kazuna clan was just an exchange of interests. The Kazuna clan helped her become the Mizukage and realize her and her family's dream. and the Kazuna clan could return to the top of the Kazuna village. Otherwise, how could the Kazuna clan help her, an outsider? Even if she hadn't insisted, the Kazuna clan wanted her to marry someone from the Kazuna clan. The elders of the Kazuna clan had nothing to say. At this time, the clan leader of the Kazuna clan looked at Terumi Mei and said in a deep voice, "Have you ever thought that even if our Kazuna clan was exterminated, he would not stop?" Terumi Mei's face changed slightly. Yagura said calmly, "Since I promised, I will definitely stop." Mei Terumi looked at Yagura, then at the head of the Hazuka clan and others, and she hated herself for not being strong enough, otherwise she wouldn't have to be so embarrassed. If only Ishihara was here. Mei Terumi was stunned, and she suddenly thought that the enemy might know the existence of Orochimaru and Ishihara. With some expectations, Mei Terumi looked at Yagura and said in a deep voice, "If you can't do it, I will let Orochimaru and Ishihara intervene in the battle." Ishihara. Obito's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was a little angry. This guy dared to threaten me. But I have to say that Ishihara did make him very afraid. His intuition told him not to contact the other party. We must investigate the information about that guy as soon as possible. Obito took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and controlled Yagura and said, "Don't worry, as long as the Hazuka clan is exterminated, I will end the war." Mei Terumi breathed a sigh of relief. She won the bet. Ishihara's reputation really works. She knew that Orochimaru did not have such a deterrent power. Only those who knew Ishihara understood how terrifying he was and were afraid of him. "Mei Terumi, you actually teamed up with Orochimaru." Chief Hazuka was furious. This kind of teaming up with people outside the village is a taboo. Mei Terumi said calmly, "Do you think Orochimaru can deter the people behind Yagura? Knowing too much will not do you any good." She lowered her voice and whispered, "As long as Ishihara is willing to help, your son Suigetsu may be able to be saved." Hokatsuki Yayui's pupils shrank suddenly, and he breathed quickly and said, "Are you telling the truth?" He had already seen it clearly. If the enemy was only Yagura and the people behind him, the Hazuka clan could still try, and perhaps more people could escape. But when Mei Terumi also stood opposite them, the Hazuka clan had no way to retreat. Even if they fought desperately, they could only bring more harm to the village, and they would never be able to survive. Because now the enemy of the Hazuka clan is the entire Mist Village. So as long as you can save yourself, it's enough. Of course it's true. Mei Terumi nodded confidently. "Okay, I promise you." The face of the head of the Ghost Light clan changed for a while, and finally sighed and agreed helplessly. When the head of the Ghost Light clan accepted his fate, the fate of the Ghost Light clan was also doomed. The elders of the Ghost Light clan were unwilling to accept it. "Chief, are you going to give up just like that? I also have a child. Lord Mei Terumi, save my child." The head of the Ghost Light clan looked at them and smiled bitterly. "Either let Shueyu live, or we fight once and everyone in the family dies here. To let the Ghost Light clan completely perish, you choose." The elders froze in place, gritting their teeth and staring at Yagura. They naturally understood the truth, but they were unwilling. They are the first family in the Mist Village. They are the most powerful group of people in the Mist Village. But now they can only wait for their deaths. The strong contrast between the past and the present makes them unacceptable. Not far away, Yagura looked at them quietly, with Obito's cold eyes behind him. Unwilling. Was Lin willing to die back then? It's all your fault. Die. But at this moment, something strange happened. The leader of the Hazuka clan suddenly rushed out without any signs and rushed towards Mei Terumi. Everyone was stunned, including the leaders of the Hazuka clan. But looking at the behavior of the leader of the Hazuka clan, they understood that the leader did not give up on them. Instead, they understood that there was no hope for the Hazuka clan alone, so they had to drag Mei Terumi and the people behind her into the water. Even restart the war that just ended. Only in this way can the Hazuka clan have a chance to survive. As for Yagura's transformation into a tailed beast, they can no longer take care of it. The high-ranking members of the Hazuka clan were suddenly excited. I knew that the clan leader would not give up the clan. As expected of the man who leads the Hazuka clan. Take down Terumi Mei. They stared with excitement, staring at the movements of the Hazuka clan leader, as if they could catch Terumi Mei in the next second. But the fruit is still unwilling. Terumi had been on guard against the Hazuka clan leader for a long time. A person who would rather join forces with her clan and even push her to the high position of Mizukage to make the Hazuka clan return to the peak. How could such an ambitious person be persuaded by a few words? Swish. Terumi immediately started the heavenly demon tattoo. Buzz. In an instant, Terumi felt that her whole body was filled with explosive and terrifying power. At the same time, her appearance changed. The pupils of her eyes turned golden. Eye shadow also appeared around her eyes. So strong. Terumi was shocked, but what shocked her even more was that she actually felt the presence of Ishihara. As this, the chakra left behind at that time. Terumi suddenly understood and was overjoyed. She hurriedly called Ishihara's name in her heart. Ishihara, help me. Ishihara, help me. In the base, Ishihara put down the scroll in his hand and looked surprised. He didn't expect that Terumi would discover the existence of his chakra so quickly. This is the special feature of the secret technique of the life chain. After a connection, as long as he does not actively disconnect it, it will be a permanent connection. Chapter 31. More importantly, if the person he is linked to is willing, he can even descend at any time. Ishihara was also looking forward to it. Let go of your body. I'm descending. Ishihara's voice sounded from the bottom of Terumi's heart, and she was shocked and widened her eyes. This incredible scene simply shattered his three views. Descend. Even such a thing can be done. Is Ishihara still a human? Terumi did not dare to delay for a moment and immediately released the control of her body. Instant. She felt as if there was an extra consciousness in her body, and she asked tentatively. Ishihara, don't talk nonsense, I can only descend for a limited time. Ishihara felt the condition of Terumi's body and frowned. His chakra was too strong, and the characteristics of the immortalization were not something Terumi's body could withstand. Once he stayed for a long time, Terumi would most likely be assimilated by natural energy. Whoosh! The figure rushing in the field of vision brought Ishihara back to his senses. He raised his foot directly, and kicked the head of the Hazuka clan in the abdomen under the horrified eyes of the Hazuka clan leader. Such a fast speed, I didn't see it clearly. The head of the Hazuka clan vomited blood and flew backwards. With a thud, he fell at Yagura's feet. The faces of the high-ranking members of the Hazuka clan froze. When did Terumi become so strong? They looked at Terumi in shock, and were very afraid. Yagura's face also changed. Something is wrong, isn't this guy Terumi? Obito appeared in the distance, and after observing Terumi with the Sharingan, his pupils suddenly shrank, and he was horrified. What's going on? Why did Terumi suddenly appear on her body with a chakra that didn't belong to her? In the field of vision of the Sharingan, Terumi was completely wrapped in a human-shaped chakra with a golden glow. At this moment, the golden chakra figure seemed to have noticed his sight and actually looked at him. He actually found me. Obito's heart sank, and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. But Ishihara ignored him. He didn't want to conflict with the Akatsuki organization at the moment. In his mind, Terumi explained the matter clearly in a few words. Ishihara understood Terumi's difficulties, but he was not embarrassed at all. And he thought the opportunity was good. It seemed to be a good opportunity to obtain the water transformation secret technique in the corpse of the Hazuka clan. Senfa lightning body. This time, instantly, Terumi's body burst out with terrifying lightning chakra. All the people around him widened their eyes in shock. Terumi didn't have lightning chakra, but now she actually burst out such a strong lightning chakra. Is she really controlled by someone? Countless people were in doubt. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The next moment, instantly, everyone saw a terrifying lightning suddenly appear in front of the high level of the Hazuka clan. Terumi actually looked at them with indifferent eyes. It made them feel cold in their hearts. Then Terumi's indifferent voice sounded. Thunderfall. Boom. The terrifying lightning chakra instantly burst out from her hands, hitting them like a bomb. The speed was so fast that the high-level elites of the Kazuna clan had no time to react, and the thunder had already hit them. In an instant, all the people of the Kazuna clan were seriously injured and dying. The whole Mist village was dead silent. Everyone looked at the figure in the center in shock and completely lost their voices. The strong men of the entire Kazuna clan were destroyed by a single blow. And that terrifying thunder, even if they only felt the violent power, they couldn't help but tremble with fear. It's too terrifying. But this is obviously not Mei Terumi's ninjutsu. Is Mei Terumi really controlled by someone else? The Mist Ninjas were in doubt. Now, the heads of various departments of the Mist Village could no longer sit still and rushed towards Terumi Mei. Terumi Mei was also a little confused. How can I finish this if you do this? How can she become the Mizukage in the future if she is thought to be controlled by others in public? People in the village may not believe her in the future. Ishihara didn't care. If you can't stay in the Mist Village, come to me. Terumi Mei is a rare person who can withstand his power. Instead of wasting time by letting her become the Mizukage, it is better to cooperate with him in the experiment and work for him. You did it on purpose. Terumi Mei was a little angry. No, the rest is up to you. Ishihara denied it flatly and withdrew his consciousness. Asshole. Looking at the vigilant eyes around her, Mei Terumi cursed in her heart and hurriedly said, "This is my latest secret technique. Don't worry, I'm not controlled by anyone." The sensing ninjas hurriedly sensed, but they couldn't sense anything other than chakra on Mei Terumi. It seems to be just a special chakra. There is indeed no sign of being controlled by anyone. And those bigwigs came to Mei Terumi and carefully checked her, but they didn't find anything, and they were relieved. Many people knew that Yagura was probably controlled by someone. But they could not find any evidence. If Mei Terumi was also controlled by someone, then the Mist Village would be in an awkward situation of lack of successors. More importantly, Mei Terumi has affected the overall situation of the Mist Village, and she is strong, so she must not get into trouble. But Obito in the distance was sure that someone had appeared on Mei Terumi's body just now. Obito asked in a deep voice, "Z, can Madara do this?" "As far as I know, it seems that he can't." Z was also a little shocked, and even felt incredible. The way Ishihara appeared reminded him of the ninja era thousands of years ago, a special era when chakras could be linked to each other. But today's chakra has long lost this ability. How can it appear now? Even Madara can't do it. Obito's heart sank, and he became more and more afraid of the mysterious Ishihara. Ju suggested, "Should we end our plan for Mist Ninja Village now?" The appearance of Ishihara undoubtedly increased the difficulty of Obito's Mist Ninja destruction plan by several levels. But Obito was unwilling to accept it and said coldly, "No, the Mist Ninja plan continues. The Ghost Lantern clan must be exterminated. No one can defeat me, and I also need to get more information about Ishihara." With divine power at his side, he was confident that he would not be defeated, and his safety was absolutely guaranteed. After speaking, he controlled Yagura to move forward and came to Terumi Mei and others. These people are all high-level officials of Mist Ninja Village, including the heads of various powerful departments in Mist Ninja Village. Some of them were even promoted by Yagura. But at this moment, everyone looked at him with guarded eyes. After all, Yagura's previous operations really didn't look like a Mizukage. Regardless of whether he was manipulated or not, he is not suitable to continue to be a Mizukage now. Obito didn't care about their looks, stared at Terumi Mei and said in a deep voice, "The Ghost Lantern clan who led this rebellion must be severely punished." An elder who was close to the Ghost Lantern clan frowned and said, "The Ghost Lantern clan suffered heavy casualties this time, and the price they paid has been enough. After this battle, I am afraid that the Ghost Lantern clan will not be able to succeed within 10 years. Not enough." Yagura looked at Terumi Mei with a cold expression. "The Onodin clan must die." "Are you crazy?" The senior officials of Mist Ninja Village looked at him in horror. Not to mention the status of the Ghost Lantern clan, their combat prowess is not bad either. Even if he has suffered heavy losses now, as long as he cultivates well for 10 or 8 years, he will still be the pillar of the Mist Ninja Village. Terumi Mei remained silent. If the Ghost Lantern clan doesn't die, then let's continue the war. Yagura's attitude was firm, and everyone's expressions changed. You must know that Yagura also has a large number of cronies in the Mist Ninja Village. Regardless of whether Yagura is controlled by others, they must protect Yagura's interests at this time. Facing the determined Yagura, no one could do anything. The other party obviously saw it right and they didn't dare to gamble. They looked at each other and could only agree. In this way, the fate of the Ghost Lantern clan was decided. No matter what, a family cannot compete with a village. So when Yagura, Terumi-mei, and all the senior officials of the Kiri ninja village issued orders at the same time, the Onodin clan was quickly wiped out. No matter how unwilling they are, no matter how crazy they roar. But it can only turn into corpses and fall down. Terumi-mei and others were silent. Only Yagura could not stop smiling from his face. Obito is so happy. Finally, he finally avenged Lin. All the murderers who directly caused Lin's death have been punished. Okay, the Ghost Lantern clan has been exterminated, it's time for you to stop. Terumi-mei and others united to put pressure on Yagura. Yagura didn't care, turned around and left with a smile. Terumi-mei and others looked at each other and began to clean the battlefield with ugly expressions. Tonight's war has caused too much damage to the Kiri ninja village. I am afraid that within a few years, the Kiri ninja village will not be able to participate in the affairs of the ninja world. At night, when everyone is busy, Terumi-mei and other senior officials of the Kiri ninja village appeared in the Onodin clan's territory and began to carve up the interests of the Onodin clan. Secret arts, ninjutsu, weapons, money. Everything was looted. Terumi-mei took the secret technique of water transformation from the Oni-lan clan and left, returning home with a heavy heart. The genocide of the Ghost Lantern clan gave her a great shock, making her unable to calm down. After a long time, she began to summon Ishihara. Buzz. Soon, Ishihara descended into Terumi-mei's body again. I have obtained the secret technique of hydration that I promised you. Good. Ishihara ignored Terumi-mei's complicated mood, but couldn't wait to read the secret technique of hydration. This secret technique is related to whether his research on the limits of blood inheritance can go further. The secret technique of hydration is very special. Tower is the only secret technique in the ninja world that can transform the human body into natural elements. I should have known that there were 3 types of ninjutsu in the ninja world. So ever since discovering this route, Ishihara has been looking forward to it. He controlled Terumi-mei's body to open the scroll. Suddenly, the secret technique of water transformation appeared before his eyes. The secret technique of hydration can liquefy the body after being used. It is necessary to use the special physique of the Ghost Lantern clan to practice the changes in the nature of the water escape chakra. After reading it, Ishihara remained silent. The secret technique of water transformation is not so much a secret technique as it is a secret technique that belongs to the special physique of the Ghost Lantern clan or the special blood inheritance limit. Yes, from Ishihara's point of view, the Ghost Lantern clan also has blood inheritance limits, but it is more secretive and difficult to awaken. Even before awakening, it has a strong bonus to water escape ninjutsu. In other words, the secret technique was born after the special physique of the Ghost Lantern clan was first present, rather than the physique of the Ghost Lantern clan was born after the secret technique was first possessed. And the key to this secret technique is to tap into the blood limit of the Hazuka clan. The second key is the change in the nature and form of the water chakra. The water transformation secret technique has such high requirements for both that even Ishihara was a little surprised. If we simply develop a secret technique that is the same as the special physique of the Hazuka clan, I'm afraid that few people in the ninja world can use it. The thought flashed through his mind, and Ishihara said to Terumi-mei, I need the corpses of the Hazuka clan, and the stronger the practice of the water transformation secret technique, the better. Mei Terumi frowned slightly. Even within the Hazuka clan, there are only a few who have mastered the water transformation secret technique. The strongest person is their clan leader, but the corpse of the Hazuka clan leader is now under strict guard, and it may not be easy to get it. Ishihara sneered. Look at you people in the Mist Village who also want to unlock the secret of the water transformation secret technique. Mei Terumi did not refute. Just like Konoha once secretly studied the cells of the first generation of Hokage. Now that the Kurigakure has the opportunity, they will naturally not miss the opportunity to study the Kurigakure clan and the water transformation secret technique. I will find a way, or I can get the body of a Kurigakure clan elder. That's fine too. Ishihara did not embarrass her. After all, for him, the difference was just the amount of time it took. Terumi-mei breathed a sigh of relief. The bodies of any of the powerful people in the Hazuka clan were stared at by many people, and even the body of an elder was not easy for her. She began to think about how to do this. After all, this is not only for Ishihara, but also for her to find a way to become stronger. Since the people in the village want to study, why not give it to Ishihara, who is almost 100% successful? It seems that the previous things were solved smoothly. Ishihara suddenly spoke and woke up Terumi Mei. She said with lingering fear, "If the mermaid who controlled Yagura just now is dead, the Mist Village will pay a heavy price." Ishihara did not comment on this. It is obvious that Obito is also afraid of him, but he doesn't know how long this fear will last. Send the body as soon as possible, otherwise if the person behind Yagura really wants to take action, it will be difficult for me to stop him. Terumi Mei's heart tightened when she heard this. Are you not sure even? Ishihara did not speak. Obito's current strength is not particularly strong, and he mainly relies on the transplanted first-generation cells in Kamui. But just one Kamui is enough to give everyone in the ninja world a headache. If only I had kept Kakashi's Sharingan. Ishihara felt helpless. He didn't expect his research progress to be so fast. If he had known that he would get the skill of Life Chain, he would have kept Kakashi's Kamui. What a pity. Now that he has entered Obito's field of vision, it is unlikely that he can get close to Kakashi without being alerted by Obito. Ishihara's silence was taken as a default by Mei Terumi. When she thought that the Mist Village was being targeted by such a powerful enemy, she felt a sense of urgency. The body must be sent to Ishihara as soon as possible. It's time to prepare for the battle with Obito. Ishihara thought after transferring his consciousness back. Maybe Mei Terumi would be happy to be feared by Obito, but Ishihara couldn't be happy. Because it means that he has entered Obito's field of vision. With Ju's terrifying intelligence ability, it would be difficult to do something sneakily in the future. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good way to deal with Kamui. After all, this is a space-time ninjutsu, the most difficult ninjutsu to deal with in the ninja world. In addition to using extreme speed to fight, only the same space-time ninjutsu can compete with it. Flying Thunder God Technique. Ishihara had an idea but quickly put it aside. With extreme speed, he was not afraid of Obito, but he just couldn't do anything to him. This kind of thing couldn't change his plan. Ishihara exhaled and refocused on the water secret technique. A few days later, Mei Terumi replaced the body at noon and notified Ishihara. Ishihara had to let Orochimaru, who was practicing the boiling escape method, go to meet him. Soon, Orochimaru brought the body back to the base, and then couldn't wait to go back to practice. Ishihara began to dissect the body, conduct experiments and research. Interesting, are the people of the Hazuka clan made of water? The cells in the body actually have such obvious traces of water chakra, it looks like the body has been eroded by water chakra. The body tissue is the same as that of ordinary people, there is nothing special. After a simple study, Ishihara began to take real action. Life chain. He directly connected to the corpse, and his consciousness descended on the corpse. Suddenly, Ishihara had a wonderful feeling, as if he had another body. After adapting to the slightly stiff corpse, Ishihara began to perform the secret technique. At the same time, the white eyes opened and stared at the inside of the corpse. Water secret technique. Buzz. In an instant, the flow of chakra in the body, as well as the changes in properties and forms, all poured into Ishihara's mind. He could clearly see that a large amount of chakra had completed the property change in the body. After that, it combined with a special chakra similar to yin chakra, and then the cells in the body were assimilated and turned into water. You observed the process of the transformation of the water transforming secret technique, understood the changes in the nature and form of the water style chakra, and created the secret technique water style training method. Water style training method. After practicing, you can quickly master the changes in the form and nature of the water style chakra. Ishihara ignored it and continued to experience the changes in the corpse. At this moment, the whole corpse has turned into a pool of water. Ishihara felt very strange at the moment. He could control the movement of his body and even control the water to attack, just like he didn't need to make a seal to perform water-style ninjutsu. It's like some kind of innate ability that is exclusive to the water-style ninjutsu, and even the refined chakra is easier to change the nature of water-style ninjutsu. Interesting. Ishihara became interested. He found that the water-transforming secret technique was different from all the secret techniques he had studied before. Even those pupil techniques. He released the secret technique, and at the same time, he raised his 5 senses, white eyes, and perception abilities to the extreme, and carefully observed all the changes in his body. For a moment, the whole world seemed to slow down. He saw it. After he released the water transformation secret technique, the water flow began to slowly change, transforming back into life energy and spiritual energy. And the reverse change of the nature of the water chakra. In an instant, some body tissues appeared. Then the water flow gradually turned into the original corpse. Ishihara took a deep breath and closed his eyes, and the moment when the water flow turned into cells just now kept echoing in his mind. Then he widened his eyes in surprise. It's Yang chakra. He took a deep breath and hurriedly performed the secret technique again, observing the changes in every moment with all his strength. This time he saw it more clearly. At the moment when the body turned into water, not only yin chakra, but also yang chakra was involved. It's just that yang chakra occupied the majority, but these yang chakras were not easy to be sensed after merging with water chakra. The same is true when the secret technique is released. At this time, yin chakra occupied the majority, but it was fused with water chakra, so it was difficult to be detected, and he only sensed yang chakra. Yin and yang escape are involved at the same time. No wonder the water transformation secret technique is so special. Ishihara was a little surprised. Ordinary secret techniques only use one type of chakra of yin escape or yang escape. Yin escape is to create tangible things from the invisible, and yang escape is to give life energy to the body. Yin and yang escape has the power to create life. Using yin-yang escape at the same time and having only one secret technique are completely different levels. There was only one such limit of blood inheritance in his mind. Samsara I. No wonder Gui Lan Wanyu is on par with the second-generation Tsuchikage who has the blood-stained elimination. It is really not easy to use the secret technique of water transformation. Ishihara sighed in his heart, and then began to study it more carefully. Yin-yang dun is also mentioned in many of Orochimaru's materials, but the research is not very in-depth. So this time Ishihara needs to discover the secret of yin-yang escape by himself. With experiments again and again, more and more secrets of the secret technique of hydration have been unearthed. In the process of performing the secret technique of water transformation, the amount of yin-yang escape is not large, but its role is crucial. In the process, he also vaguely noticed traces of yin-yang escape. The inspirations in my mind began to collide and explode. You observed the changing process of the secret technique of water transformation, and gained insight into the important role of yin-yang escape in it. You created the secret technique elemental transformation cultivation method. Elemental training method. After mastering it, you can transform your body into an elemental form with certain chakra attributes or blood inheritance limits. Call. Ishihara took a breath and returned to his body. The life chain consumed too much chakra and made him feel exhausted. But looking at the harvest, he was immediately satisfied. A large amount of information was poured into his mind, and he immediately understood the secret of elementalization. It seems to be elemental practice, but in fact the focus is on the practice of changing the nature and form of chakra, as well as the practice method of yin and yang escape. And the secret of elementalization lies in the fusion ratio and timing of the two chakras. A flash of light flashed in Ishihara's eyes, and he was filled with excitement. He didn't expect that even the cultivation method of yin-yang escape would appear. Although this is just incidental, the yin-yang escape that can be cultivated is not very strong. But at least it gave him direction. The direction of practicing yin-yang escape. More important than anything else. But looking at the elemental cultivation method, Ishihara shook his head. Not to mention other things, just the requirements for changes in the nature and form of chakra, the ninja world may be able to achieve very few, even only single digits. Coupled with the threshold of yin-yang escape, besides him, can anyone in the ninja world really master this secret technique? If I had known, this would be equivalent to creating the blood inheritance limit of the Ghost Lantern clan from scratch and developing it to a certain extent. You can understand the difficulty by looking at how many people in the Ghost Lantern clan have truly mastered the secret technique of water transformation. I'm afraid it's harder than climbing to the sky. I hope Terumi-Mei won't be disappointed after getting the secret. Ishihara sighed inwardly, not very optimistic about Terumi-Mei taking this path. As the secret technique completed, Terumi-Mei looked at Ishihara excitedly. After getting the news, she rushed over immediately. As for the location here, Obito couldn't hide it from him at all. Take a look. Ishihara threw the scroll to Maid Terumi. Terumi May opened the scroll excitedly and was immediately stunned. This kind of requirement for water escape chakra is too high, and it even involves yin and yang escape. Ishihara nodded, so I'm afraid you won't be able to learn this secret technique. Terumi May was not disappointed, but said excitedly. This is what makes it interesting. As long as there is a way, I believe I will succeed one day. Ishihara was a little surprised, but didn't say anything. He hasn't handed over the immortal body cultivation method to Terumi May yet, the time has not come yet. Once she masters the immortal body cultivation method, she won't worry about time anymore. Originally, he thought Terumi May would leave after getting the secret technique, but he didn't expect that she hadn't left yet. Anything else? Ishihara asked in surprise. I want to borrow my Byakugan from you. Why are you borrowing Byakugan? Ishihara asked knowingly. I suspect that Yagura is being controlled by someone using genjutsu. The Byakugan can help unravel Yagura's genjutsu. Even if it cannot undo the genjutsu, it can still find out the truth. Mai Terumi said bluntly that this was the result of discussions between her and her family members and the senior officials of the Mist Ninja Village who supported her. As long as it can be verified that Yagura is really being controlled, then they don't have to be so tied up and can take action directly. I'm afraid he also knew about what happened last time that Yagura was being controlled. However, he still did it. I'm afraid he has achieved his goal and will no longer be afraid in the future. Are you sure you want to do this? Ishihara shook his head and asked. Terumi May hesitated. They actually have internal disputes now. After all, even if Yagura is really controlled by someone, as long as they can't break the illusion, it means they have to fight Yagura, and even the people behind Yagura. Especially since Yagura said last time that he wanted to transform into a tailed beast, it became a problem in their minds. Yagura and the perfect Jinchuriki, once they transform into tailed beasts, their strength will be. Not to mention the damage that may be caused to the Mist Ninja Village. If they want to defeat or even kill Yagura, they will definitely suffer heavy casualties. This is unacceptable to them. However, Terumi May and others did not dare to directly expose the truth about Yagura being controlled. Otherwise, Obito would be angered and direct conflict would break out. So they can only discuss in a small area, fight against Yagura, or even ignore Yagura. However, the longer the time goes by, the longer Obito controls Yagura to bleed the Kiri Ninja Village, and Obito will naturally not let go of this favorable situation. So this caused the entire Mist Ninja Village to be in a strange balance. No one wants to make the first move. But Terumi May and others knew that the longer this matter was delayed, the greater the damage would be to the village. Terumi looked at Ishihara hopefully and asked, "Can you help me once?" No, Ishihara decisively refused. Terumi May looked a little disappointed. Not only because of Ishihara's rejection, but also because she felt that she didn't have much weight with Ishihara. But the next moment, she heard Ishihara say, "If you need me to help you with this, then what's the point of learning so much from me as a secretary? But it takes a lot of time." Terumi May said anxiously with hope rekindled in her heart. Ishihara said indifferently, "What does this have to do with me? You are my chosen one, but the Mist Ninja Village is not, and I don't care about their life or death." Terumi gritted her teeth angrily. But she also knew that it was unrealistic for Ishihara to fight a mysterious enemy for her village. "Whenever you are satisfied with the secret technique you have cultivated, I will promise to lend you my Byakugan." Ishihara also wanted to know what level that person could achieve if the many secret techniques he developed were mastered by others. Thinking about it carefully, I am really looking forward to it. A smile appeared on Ishihara's face. Mai Terumi took a deep breath and gritted her teeth and said, "Then it's settled." After that, she turned and left. Ishihara looked at her back and suddenly said, "Don't forget to continue collecting bloodline limit ninjas or their corpses." Got it. Looking at Mai Terumi who left angrily, Ishihara shook his head and laughed, not taking it to heart. Now his mind is on the new research project. But this research needs Orochimaru's help. So he immediately went to find Orochimaru who was practicing the boiling release method. Is this the entry point of the boiling release method? Seeing Orochimaru on the training ground, Ishihara was a little surprised. Orochimaru raised the corner of his mouth when he heard it. He couldn't help but feel a little happy to surprise Ishihara. How come you have time to come to me? His impression of Ishihara was that he was either in the data room or in the laboratory from childhood to adulthood, and there was no other life at all. Next, I want to conduct an experiment, which requires the help of the teacher. The process may be a little dangerous, Ishihara said seriously. Orochimaru was not afraid, but interested. Something that could make Ishihara so serious must not be simple. And he thought he had helped Ishihara, but he didn't expect that the opportunity had come now, so he hurriedly asked. What's the matter? Ishihara said in a deep voice. I want to deduce a bloodline limit myself. What? Orochimaru widened his eyes in shock. He didn't know how many years it had been since he had such an emotional expression on his face. But this couldn't express his inner shock. Orochimaru couldn't help but breathe quickly and asked. Deduce a bloodline limit. Deduced out of thin air. Ishihara nodded affirmatively, yes. Through the analysis of boiling escape and dissolving escape, as well as the analysis of the water secret technique. Ishihara thought he had a certain understanding of the bloodline limit, so he planned to try it once and deduce a bloodline limit without a test subject. Orochimaru was shocked and speechless. If someone else said this, he would definitely curse that he was dreaming. But this is Ishihara, the inhuman being in his eyes. Maybe it will really succeed. No, it should definitely succeed, right? Orochimaru was shocked by his own thoughts and couldn't calm down for a long time. Teacher, if you think it's too difficult, forget it. Ishihara saw him silent and said hurriedly. Orochimaru woke up and took a deep breath. I'm just too shocked. Tell me, how do you want me to help you? Ishihara smiled immediately. My goal this time is to deduce the blood limit of ice escape, so I need a person who has a high degree of completion in the nature change of the two chakra attributes of wind and water to cooperate with me to experiment with multiple times to fuse ice escape. Teacher, you are the best choice. My wind escape and water escape have indeed reached the standard of fusion blood limit. Orochimaru nodded when he heard it. He was able to become a recognized cage-level strongman without a blood limit or any powerful secret technique. He relied on the fact that he had completed all the changes in the properties of the 5 chakra attributes and reached a very high level. Although he did not have any outstanding features, he did not have any shortcomings. And this was exactly what Ishihara needed most. Of course, more importantly, at this time, Orochimaru had completed his secret technique, the Orochi-style substitution technique. His ability to save his life was extremely high, and he could prevent unexpected situations from happening. Then let's get started. Ishihara laughed excitedly when he heard this. The two quickly came to Ishihara's laboratory. Orochimaru stood in front of the operating table, and Ishihara explained to him while making preparations. Teacher, you should also know that the blood limit is a new jutsu born after the fusion of 2 or more chakras. The key is the ratio and timing of the fusion of the 2 chakras. Orochimaru nodded, then shook his head and said, in theory, as long as a large number of ninjas try and error according to a certain ratio and timing, they will definitely be able to come up with a certain blood limit fusion method, but this is simply impossible. After all, the fusion ratio of the 2 chakras is not an integer, but a decimal, and even needs to be accurate to several decimal places. Add to that the different timings of fusion. If you are unlucky, even if everyone in the ninja world is used to conduct the experiment, it may fail. And once it fails, the chakras that explode after the fusion will, at the least, damage the chakra meridians in the body, making it impossible for people to become ninjas. Or even worse, cause death. So no one in the ninja world tries it. Ishihara nodded in approval, and then said confidently. That's right, but after my deduction, I already know the approximate range of this ratio, and there is almost no need to test the timing of fusion. I will point it out accurately. This is not a lie, but the knowledge and foundation left by the research. Although it is not very rich, it is enough if it is only for 1 blood limit. Then let's start. Orochimaru took a deep breath. Even though he believed in Ishihara's ability, he was still a little nervous at the moment. After all, if he made a mistake, he might be seriously injured. Ishihara nodded and then opened his Byakugan. Instantly, Orochimaru's body became transparent. First, complete the nature changes of the 2 chakras of water style and wind style in your body. Orochimaru began to do it, and it didn't seem very difficult to complete it. But in fact, the two of them knew the difficulty very well. It can even be said that no one in the ninja world can do this without a blood limit. Ishihara carefully stared at the situation in Orochimaru's body and began to remind him. Try to contact and merge according to the ratio of feng shui 6:4. Orochimaru began to get nervous, and the next step was the truly dangerous step. He tried to divide the ratio of chakra in his body. If he hadn't tried the boiling style training method, I'm afraid that just this step would become extremely difficult. Seeing the two chakras begin to contact according to the ratio he said, Ishihara was happy. Sure enough, it was right to find Orochimaru for the experiment. Then he also became nervous and said hurriedly, "Don't merge completely, this time we are testing the ratio range, separate immediately after contact." The two chakras began to contact. Kai, although they are not incompatible, the moment when two chakras with completely different properties meet is like the rejection reaction after a human organ transplant, it is extremely violent. How about it? Orochimaru growled, hurriedly separating the two types of chakra. Ishihara closed his eyes and thought for a moment before continuing. This time try it with a ratio of 5.5, 4.5. Orochimaru took a deep breath and continued to try. Kai, the moment they merged like last time, Orochimaru immediately separated, but the pain was still excruciating. In this way, Ishihara continued to analyze, and Orochimaru conducted experiments again and again, taking a rest when he was too tired. 5.52, 4.48. Continue. 5.523, 4.477. Wrong, the fused water escape chakra is too much. Come again. This time it's 5.5236, 4.4764. Teacher, your water escape chakra has not reached the proportion. Restart. Continue. Do it again. As the proportion of the fused chakra became more and more refined, Orochimaru's control began to become difficult and he began to make constant mistakes. But Orochimaru had no intention of giving up, because he has noticed that the two chakras have shown signs of fusion. It's just that the proportions are not accurate enough, so the fusion is very unstable, but the side effects of failure have been much smaller, which makes Orochimaru full of motivation. He will finally have his own blood inheritance limit. Orochimaru's nerves are extremely tense. The same goes for Ishihara. In the final stage, judging the success or failure of each experiment extremely tested his insight. Absolutely nothing can go wrong. I don't know how much time has passed. Ishihara finally changed his lines. Stop, the ratio is okay. Orochimaru was relieved and lay directly on the ground, both physically and mentally exhausted. Ishihara is also rubbing his forehead. He is also tired. The two rested for a while, but unexpectedly they fell asleep directly. When they woke up the next day, the two looked at each other and smiled, feeling a little funny. They actually slept through the day too tired. After eating something hastily, the two of them returned to the experiment full of energy. The ratio of chakra fusion has been tested. But in fact Orochimaru has no special feeling, it is just Ishihara's judgment based on the reaction after the chakra fusion. Then it's time to fuse chakra. Teacher, I will say one word in advance, and you can fuse it immediately. Good. Orochimaru nodded heavily. By now, he also had a premonition of success, so he naturally cooperated fully. When the experiment began, Orochimaru immediately began to distribute chakra according to the previous ratio, and then the two types of chakra began to flow in the chakra meridians. The water in the well does not interfere with the water in the river. But Orochimaru was extremely nervous and ready to take action at any time. Quick, Ishihara growled. Orochimaru immediately fused the two chakras without hesitation. A heart lifted up. Success. Or failed. The next moment. Buzz. A new chakra is born. Orochimaru trembled, his eyes widened in surprise, and he looked at Ishihara in disbelief. Success. It really worked. Ishihara actually created a blood-inherited cultivation method out of thin air. It's simpler and more direct than the previous secret technique. More important people. Orochimaru also has the blood inheritance limit. However, he found that he was not as excited as he had imagined. On the contrary, blood inheritance limit, that's it. It seems like nothing special. What's wrong, teacher? Is something wrong? Ishihara looked at Orochimaru, who was in a daze, and asked with some confusion. He has received the prompt from the system, so there should be no problem. Congratulations on leading the escape. You created the ice escape practice method. Ice escape cultivation method. After mastering it, you can practice ice escape. Moreover, he simply deduced the information in his mind, and it was all correct. No, it's just that I'm not as excited as I thought I would be after mastering ice escape. Orochimaru said calmly. Hearing this, Ishihara burst out laughing. After all, we have already mastered the immortal body cultivation method. Things like the blood succession limit can only be the icing on the cake. Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Although it seems that he has been practicing the boiling escape method recently, in fact he spends most of his time practicing the immortal human body cultivation method. He has deeply understood the horror of this cultivation method. The improvement in his overall strength is definitely not comparable to that of blood succession limit. However, ice escape still has great merits. It can be condensed into specific shapes and has the ability to control. This is an advantage that other blood successor boundaries do not have. Ishihara thought for a moment and said. This was also the reason why he was eager to deduce ice escape. Being able to restrain water release would be useful if fighting Obito. Orochimaru nodded thoughtfully. Just then, the base personnel walked in with Terumi with a smile on his face. Ishihara and Orochimaru looked at her in surprise. Terumi has been coming a little too frequently recently. Something happened in Mist Ninja Village? Ishihara asked with a frown. Can't I come if nothing happens? Terumi smiled for a moment and rolled her eyes at him angrily. This straight man is so mad at me. Ishihara frowned. Where did this woman get so angry? You can come. Only then did Terumi smile. Then he looked at Ishihara and said as if he was waiting for praise, I found the person you wanted me to find for you. Ishihara was a little surprised, so fast. Terumi unexpectedly found the blood successor ninja within a few days of her return. What a coincidence. Terumi was smiling all over her face, unable to hide her happiness. She waved her hand behind her, come here. Then 3 figures came out. Ishihara suddenly showed surprise after seeing clearly, looked at Terumi and said, let me introduce you. Terumi was quite satisfied when she saw the smile on Ishihara's face. After all, there are really not many things that can surprise Ishihara. This is Guidang Shuiyu, the only survivor of the Guidang clan. He was captured by my people the day I returned. Ishihara nodded. He didn't expect Shuiyu to survive. It can only be said that his ability to save lives is indeed not small. This is Haku. He was discovered by Zabuza in the village. He is a Junin who is firmly opposed to Yagura. After this conflict, he turned to me. After he knew that I was looking for the blood-stained limit ninja, he handed Haku over. Haven't you always wanted to study new blood inheritance limits? He is the new talent I have found for you. Hearing this, Ishihara couldn't help but look at Terumi and shook his head and laughed. He didn't expect that Zabuza would defect to Terumi. Although Zabuza's performance in the plot is a bit lame, he is actually a genuine jonin. Moreover, he still sent one to accompany him, and Shiro, who had mastered the ice escape, also fell into Terumi's hands. Orochimaru suddenly smiled and said, you don't know yet, but Ishihara has already deduced the ice escape training method. What? Terumi looked at Ishihara in surprise and couldn't help but ask, you already have an ice escape ninja in your hands? No, Ishihara shook his head, and his searching eyes fell on the timid Shiro. Shiro looked at Ishihara curiously. He is a pure amateur and has never been exposed to the ninja world before. So Terumi specially asked someone to add a lot of common sense to him before coming over. He also knew that the reason why he was called a monster was because of his blood inheritance limit, ice escape. So after hearing the word, being done, he immediately became nervous. Terumi was a little confused. In her knowledge, Ishihara had always studied the blood-stepping boundary training method through the existing blood-stepping boundary ninjas. Could it be that, suddenly, an idea came into his mind, causing Terumi's eyes to widen and her heart to beat rapidly? Orochimaru licked his lips and said in a dry voice. Yes, this time Ishihara developed the ice escape training method out of thin air, without any reference. Hiss. Terumi May suddenly took a breath after hearing this. The same goes for Ghost Lantern and Water Moon. He looked at Ishihara in shock and couldn't help but ask. What does the ice escape training method mean? Is it possible to practice ice escape? This is too hard to believe. Simply unheard of. Terumi May said with a smile. You guessed it right. Looking at Suigetsu, whose eyes were wide with shock and her face turned pale, Terumi May felt a little proud and continued. Not only ice escape, but Ishihara, the secret technique of water transformation of your Ghost Lantern clan, has also developed a training method. Even ordinary ninjas can master it through training. This. QQ search skirt 850296501. Shueyu looked at Ishihara with eyes full of horror and horror. Terumi May had no reason to lie to herself. So everything they say is true. Is the man in front of me really still human? Even the most genius person he has ever seen needs a lot of time to practice if he wants to master a secret technique, but he directly created the cultivation method. This gap cannot be described in words. Don't you always want to avenge the Ghost Lantern clan? Your enemy is right in front of you. He was the one who controlled the city where I defeated you. Terumi May pointed at Ishihara and smiled. Shueyu's expression froze and she looked at Ishihara in horror. Are you kidding me, asking him to go against such a monster? Suigetsu was so nervous that she didn't know what to say, for fear that Ishihara would kill her in the next second. Don't worry, I won't take action against you. Ishihara laughed. Although Shueyu is good, he doesn't take him seriously yet. But, Shueyu just breathed a sigh of relief, her heart suddenly lifted, and she looked at him nervously. Additional measures are also necessary. After Ishihara finished speaking, he walked up to Suigetsu. What do you want to do? Terumi May hurriedly said. I brought them here because I want them to be your subordinates. Ishihara looked over after hearing this. You don't have your own people around you, so many things are inconvenient. May Terumi explained. Ishihara nodded. Just like the person who was looking for the bloodline limit this time, if he had his own people, he wouldn't need to hand it over to May Terumi. In this case, then a new curse seal is needed. Ishihara looked at the three people opposite and pondered. He was quite satisfied with these three people, but he didn't like things that were out of control. Then he closed his eyes and began to think. The most suitable way for him to control others is of course the demon tattoo. But this kind of power is too dangerous and not suitable for the three children opposite. He needs to weaken this power. Just like Orochimaru in the future developed a weakened earth curse seal after discovering that the curse seal was too corrosive, the original curse seal became the heaven curse seal. Strengthen the ability to restrain and control, and weaken the strengthening of the body. In this case, Terumi May and Orochimaru who were standing next to him couldn't help but look at each other when they saw him closing their eyes. They both saw the helplessness and powerlessness in each other's eyes. May Terumi couldn't help but murmured in a low voice, whatever secret techniques are needed can be created on the spot. The more we get along with him, the more we can feel the huge gap between him and us. Orochimaru was silent, but his expression was a little bitter. Shueyu next to her was already trembling with fear. All necessary secret techniques are created on the spot. Who dares to resist this special girl? You readjusted the standards of demon tattoos, and you created the secret technique of demon curse seal. Heavenly demon curse seal. Weakened heavenly demon tattoo. Ishihara nodded with satisfaction, then planted a curse seal on the three children's nervous state, and then said lightly. As long as this curse seal exists, it can kill you at any time, so you know what to do. The three of them nodded quickly. Ishihara doesn't care what they think in their hearts. As long as the devil's curse is on them, they will never be able to resist him, unless one day their strength exceeds his. Only then did he look at the third child with a look of anticipation. He also knew this child. Terumi May saw this and said quickly. This is Kimimaro, a child of the Taketori clan. They sent him here after they knew that I needed a blood successor ninja. I've checked it out. This child's talent is very good, but his character is a little flawed, so it's a good face not to be accepted by the Taketori clan. Ishihara nodded with satisfaction. He is naturally aware of Kimimaro's talent. It can be said that he has the lowest threshold among the three. He is guaranteed to be at the elite Jonin level, or even guaranteed to be at the Kage level. From now on, these three children will be left to your guidance. Ishihara said to Mai. Terumi Mei nodded, looking a little expectant. She knew very well that as long as she learned Ishihara's secret technique, anyone's future would become extremely worth looking forward to. Just then, the guards in the base came over and said tremblingly. A child came outside, saying that Lord Orochimaru asked him to come. Orochimaru smiled immediately after hearing this, looked at Ishihara and said, "It should be the kid I told you about before. Let him in." Yes, the guard soon returned and brought in a young man wearing glasses. Ishihara couldn't help but look stunned. Today is really full of surprises. Orochimaru introduced in a hoarse voice. This is Kabuto Yakushi, a former Konoha ninja who performed many undercover missions. Now he is a dead person in Konoha's records. That's right, the person coming is none other than Kabuto Yakushi. Ishihara nodded. Since he is the one the teacher likes, let's hand it over to Terumi Mei for guidance. Orochimaru nodded without objecting. Kabuto Yakushi nodded hurriedly when he saw this, and said a little cautiously, "It's Lord Ishihara, Lord Terumi Mei." After seeing the monsters of Ishihara, he was no longer interested in these ordinary geniuses. Terumi Mei looked at the four children opposite and looked very expectant, and hurriedly said to Ishihara, "I can teach them, but you have to give them the secret technique." No problem. This was Ishihara's original plan. He is also looking forward to what it will be like if the potential of the four of them is developed to the extreme. "By the way, I'll leave Jugo to you too," he said as if he suddenly remembered something. "Good." Terumi Mei nodded excitedly. She knows how terrifying Jongo's abilities are, and he is definitely a rare genius. She shouted excitedly, "This way, I have 5 people available for my subordinates. From today on, you will be 5 people." "Yes, Terumi Mei-sama." Looking at the noisy Terumi Mei, Ishihara shook his head helplessly. Then he began to give secret techniques to several people. The first is that everyone has received physical exercise, which can help their bodies grow quickly. In addition, several people were given secret techniques suitable for them. The medicine master was given the life chain, the water transformation secret technique was given to Suigetsu, and the ice escape training method was given to Shiro. Chongo already had it. He looked at Kimimaro and said, "Your secret technique needs to be studied by me." Kimimaro said respectfully, "Yes, Lord Ishihara." For Kimimaro, as long as someone needs him, that's all. As for the rest, he doesn't care. Ishihara continued, "After you have mastered your own secret techniques, I will give you new secret techniques." After speaking, he looked at the 5 people. To be honest, he was still looking forward to the 5 people. Then he brought Mei Terumi to the secret room and handed her the ice escape practice method. "Thanks." Terumi Mei was a little excited. Her melting attack is not strong enough, and boiling requires a sealed space to exert its power. Ice escape can greatly supplement her combat effectiveness. "I will be yours from now on." Terumi Mei looked at Ishihara and said solemnly. Ishihara looked at Terumi Mei, who was serious, and smiled. "You have been mine for a long time." Terumi Mei's face turned slightly red when she heard this, and her heart was beating fast. That's what she wanted to hear most. She combed her hair and changed the subject. "What are you going to do next?" "Continue research. The experiment is suspended. I plan to improve my strength," Ishihara said with a somewhat solemn expression. Although he has created many secret techniques, many of them have thresholds, and in fact he cannot use them at all. "Are you worried that the people behind Yagura will take action against you?" Terumi Mei's face changed slightly. If this is really the case, it would be dangerous. After all, the person behind Yagura is too mysterious, giving her a very dangerous feeling. As long as he is not stupid, he is probably already collecting information about me. Once he finds out, he will definitely take action against me and not give me time to grow up," Ishihara said with squinted eyes. Seeing Terumi Mei's expression become serious, he immediately smiled and said, "But don't worry, even if he does come, he can't do anything to me. Don't forget my top speed." Terumi Mei nodded. "But I have made up my mind to launch a liquidation against Yagura as soon as I return to Mist Ninja Village. Detonate the crisis in Yagura in advance and find out the intelligence of the person behind it." Ishihara was not aware of Terumi Mei's thoughts, but he was indeed not worried about Obito's attack. If he was given enough time, he would even plan to attack Obito. After all, Although he did not master those secret techniques, he already understood the principles. The learning of ninjutsu and secret techniques is extremely simple. It is nothing more than chakra control, shape changes and property changes. His chakra control ability has already reached its extreme. After learning medical ninjutsu, I can boldly say that there is absolutely no one in the ninja world who is better than him in this aspect. As for the practice of the latter two, he already has a quick way. As long as he completes the practice of chakra, any secret technique will no longer be difficult for him and he can master it in an instant. Terumi did not leave immediately, but planned to let Shiro and others practice in the base, let Orochimaru or Ishihara guide them, and then leave after getting started with the secret technique. Mist Ninja Village, Water Shadow Tower. Obito walked around the office anxiously. Ju's delay in bringing Ishihara's information made him a little uneasy and had a bad feeling. Just then, Zetsu appeared. Did you get the information about Ishihara? Obito asked impatiently. Already got it. Ju's voice was a little heavy, but you have to be mentally prepared. Some of the information is too incredible, so it took me a while to confirm it. But it also confirmed the authenticity of the information from the side. Obito's heart sank. Just tell me. Heiju took a deep breath and said. The name of the person you were afraid of is Ishihara, and his identity is Orochimaru's disciple. And his age is 6 years old. What? Obito looked at Zetsu in shock and growled, are you kidding me? Although he has not seen Ishihara's true form, the person shown in the chakra shadow that day was a teenager. How could he be only 6 years old? I have said before, the information about Ishihara is incredible. After I have confirmed it many times, he is indeed only 6 years old. And there's a reason why he doesn't look like a child. Ju said in a deep voice. Obito asked hurriedly, what's the reason? Ishihara has developed a secret technique that can speed up the growth of the body. Obito took a deep breath, resisted the urge to curse, and asked. Are you sure it wasn't developed by Orochimaru? No, how could such a secret technique exist in the ninja world? Heizi also felt a little incredible. He had never heard of this secret technique in thousands of years. This is true, I have verified it. Hearing this, Obito felt even more irritated. Keep talking. Ishihara's talent is incredibly high and he has developed a variety of secret techniques since he was a child. The chakra shadow and thunder release you saw that day were all secret techniques developed by him. There are even more secret techniques that can enhance explosive power, increase recovery ability, increase defense, and so on. Hearing this, Obito twitched the corner of his mouth, stared straight at Heizetsu, and asked through gritted teeth. A 6-year-old child can grow up quickly, but you actually told me that he has developed so many secret techniques. Did he start practicing from his mother's womb? Even if he started practicing from his mother's womb, he would never be able to reach this level. Heiju was silent for a while and then said quietly. I don't want to believe this is true, but it is the truth. Even until now, he feels that this information is false. There is no way such a person exists in the ninja world. No, it can't even be called a human being anymore. Ishihara gave him a more terrifying feeling than his mother Kagaya Otsutsuki. Even more mysterious. Obito froze in place when he heard this. He stared at Heiju to confirm that he was not joking, and his heart was extremely heavy. He was somewhat unable to accept that such terrifying people existed in the ninja world. But what if this is true? Obito took a deep breath, gritted his teeth and said sternly. If his talent is really so terrifying, then we must not give him any more time to grow. Heiju nodded in agreement and said with some fear. There is another piece of information. Don't get too excited after hearing this. Obito's heart trembled. Isn't the above information weighty enough? He swallowed. Just tell me. Ju said in a low voice. Ishihara has developed a secret technique that can cultivate the Sharingan. Boom. Obito felt like his brain was exploding and his mind went blank. Can you practice the secret technique of Sharingan? What a joke. This is impossible. Obito gritted his teeth and his whole body was shaking. Because he knew that since Heiju dared to say it, it meant that the information had been verified. But he still asked reluctantly, are you sure? I'm sure someone saw the Magatama of the Sharingan in Ishihara's eyes. After the words fell, Obito immediately said firmly, go ahead, kill Ishihara now. His heart was trembling. In fear, if Ishihara can really cultivate the Sharingan, then what about wood release? What about Samsara Eye? Give him enough time, I'm afraid that even if Madara is resurrected, he will not be his opponent. He is so terrifying at the age of 6, how terrifying will Ishihara be at the age of 16? Obito can't imagine it at all. He must not be given more time to grow up. Although Black Zetsu also wanted to kill Ishihara in his heart. After all, Ishihara has become the biggest obstacle for him to rescue his mother. But he also knows the difficulty of killing Ishihara. Obito, it may be difficult to kill Ishihara with your current strength. Obito roared. Otherwise, give him more time to grow up. Have you ever thought that for this inhuman monster, even a one-day difference in strength may make a world of difference? We can't leave him a single second. Let Yagura take all the elites and set off immediately. Attack Ishihara's base directly. Whoosh. One after another figures quickly shuttled through the mountains and forests. It was Yagura's group who hurriedly left the Mist Ninja village. Obito already knew Ishihara's base, so he rushed towards it. Just an hour later, he led his people not far from the base. Are you sure Ishihara is still in the base? Obito and Zetsu put on Anbu equipment, stood next to Yagura, and asked in a low voice. I'm sure. Terumi-Mei has not come out since she went in. Ishihara must be inside. Heiju said with great certainty. Obito nodded and could only vaguely see the gate of the base from here. He took a deep breath and controlled Yagura to attack. Then let's do it. This kind of inhuman monster should not live in the world. Boom. A terrifying and evil powerful chakra burst out. Yagura's place was replaced by a huge and violent mud turtle. Immediately afterwards, the huge mud turtle raised its head and opened its ferocious mouth. Buzz. A strange buzzing sound sounded. A large amount of chakra condensed into a ball in the mouth of the three tails. Tailed Beast Jade. Call out. In the shocked eyes of the fog ninja behind him. The tailed beast Jade hit the hill where the base was located like an anti-aircraft gun. Boom. In the terrifying big explosion, the entire hilltop instantly turned into nothing, and the violent energy formed a terrifying shock wave that swept out in all directions. The earth shook crazily. Immediately afterwards, there was an explosion, which was so loud that it almost shattered the eardrums. The Mist Ninjas covered their ears in pain and looked at the rising mushroom cloud with horror in their hearts. At this moment, they had the most intuitive feeling for the power of the tailed beast Jade. Fear. Destroy. Uncontestable. Mizukage-sama is too strong. No matter who the enemy is, he is dead. That's right, no one can withstand this blow head on and still survive. The Mist Ninjas looked at the big figure of the three tails enthusiastically and talked excitedly. But the next moment, they were shocked. Boom, boom, boom. The three tails didn't stop attacking, they were still using tailed beast Jade to attack. The crazy bombing made the fog ninjas feel horrified. Isn't one-tailed beast Jade enough? Who are you fighting, Mizukage-sama? Obito stood not far from Sanway, his eyes fixed on the base. He didn't think he could kill Ishihara in this way and was ready to attack at any time. In the base, at the moment when Yagura tailed the beast, Ishihara and Orochimaru, who had already started practicing the immortal body cultivation method, immediately noticed the huge amount of chakra. Ishihara instantly entered the thunder teleportation mode, and rushed into several rooms as fast as lightning to bring out Kimimaro, Terumi-Mei and others. Then he rushed to the spacious training ground deep in the base and met Orochimaru. Orochimaru was also ready to take action as soon as everyone arrived. The art of psychicism, triple Rashomon. Bang bang bang. With a dull sound, three ferocious and tall iron gates rose from the ground, surrounding several people inside. What happened? At this time, Terumi-Mei and others reacted. Ishihara looked through the thick soil in the direction of Sanway. After cultivating the immortal body, his perception ability has been extremely enhanced. At this moment, he felt that the location of the three tails was like a huge chakra ball, extremely dazzling. It's Yagura and the people behind him here. Terumi-Mei's expression changed drastically, and she suddenly became nervous. How could it happen so fast? Don't worry. Ishihara looked cold. It was not beyond his expectation that Obito would knock on the door. It's just that he didn't expect the other party to come so quickly. But Ishihara is not worried. Obito can't kill him now if he wants to. Just then, boom, a terrifying loud noise sounded. The violent power was transmitted through the earth to the top of Ishihara and others. The top of the base began to tremble crazily and cracked, as if it would collapse at any time. Shueyu and others were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Ishihara looked up calmly without saying a word. Orochimaru looked cold. This was the first time someone had knocked on his door. Especially when he looked at the base that was about to become ruins, he felt extremely angry. Boom, boom, boom. The violent bombing finally stopped. Although we escaped the enemy's attack, the underground we are in is a bit too deep now. Orochimaru's face looked a little ugly. Ishihara said calmly, "It doesn't matter, the teacher will enter the cursed seal state and join me in performing the earth flow cutting technique, using senjutsu. It is true that ordinary ninjutsu cannot penetrate such terrifying depths. But magic can." Good. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this. As soon as the words fell, Orochimaru immediately entered the second curse seal state. At this moment, Orochimaru became even paler, and golden slender snake pupil eye shadow appeared in the position of his eyes. A large amount of natural energy is integrated into his body. The two looked at each other and took action at the same time. Immortal technique, earth release, earth release. Buzz. Incomparably surging chakra fluctuations emerged from the two men's bodies and poured into the ground along their arms. The ground began to ripple like waves. Subsequently, boom, the whole earth was shaking crazily, and then, it was torn apart. Outside the base, the ninjas of the Mist Ninja were still immersed in Yagura's violent attack just now and could not recover. Obito stared there intently, although he really hopes that Ishihara will just die. But he knew in his heart that it was unrealistic to bury the other party underground and kill him. He was also guessing in what form Ishihara would break out of the ground. Whether he uses earth style to sneak out or uses thunder style to blast out a passage, no matter which method he uses, his chakra consumption will be huge. Hiss. Suddenly, Obito's expression changed and he looked ahead in horror. The place where the original base was has become an extremely deep pit. At this time, this deep pit, the surrounding ground, and even Obito's feet were shaking crazily. A terrifying energy suddenly burst out from the ground. Explodes like a volcano. Then, under everyone's unbelievable eyes, that deep pit cracked open. The whole land is cracked. It was like a thick piece of foam paper that was completely broken by someone pressing two sections. Like a volcanic eruption, the pit was split into two by this ferocious crack, and then the earth at the bottom of the pit rose crazily and flipped to both sides. From a distance, it looked like some kind of terrifying monster suddenly stood up from the ground and overturned the entire land. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Could it be that a monster was born? What happened? Who is Mizukage-sama fighting? The Mist Ninjas almost went crazy looking at this visually stunning scene. Swish, brush, brush. Several figures jumped out from the ground and landed on the edge of the raised pit. Obito stared at Ishihara, his eyes full of shock. This is definitely a Torugetsu, but why is there such a terrifying range of ninjutsu? Originally, he wanted to give Ishihara a kick in the ass. But now, the tables have turned. Don't call it Obito. Even Ishihara and Orochimaru were shocked. Is magic so powerful? Orochimaru's heart was on fire. He couldn't imagine how terrifying it would be if he used ninjutsu after his body was completely transformed into a sage. Ishihara understood that the two of them had released a large amount of chakra, and deliberately controlled the ninjutsu to expand the attack range of the ninjutsu. Compared with the chakra consumed, it's a bit outweighed by the gain. The attack just now must have been the tailed beast Tama, and so many people from the Mist Ninja village came. Orochimaru looked at the opposite side with a solemn expression. The Kiri ninja is not something to be afraid of, but as a perfect Jinchuriki, the threat of Yagura completely transforming into a tailed beast is too great. What's more, there is an unknown mysterious person behind him. Shall we take action together? Orochimaru looked at Ishihara and said seriously. He knew that Ishihara would never run away with his pride. But Ishihara also said just now that he still needs to improve his strength. I can only say that the enemy came at the wrong time. I'm here to help you too, and there are also my people among those Mist Ninjas. I can convince them to deal with Yagura together. Terumi May also said hurriedly. The pharmacist Kabuto and others next to him had frightened faces and did not dare to speak. Seeing the anxious and worried expressions of the two people, Ishihara felt warm in his heart, and then smiled and said, "You don't think I'm no match for Three Tails, do you?" Orochimaru shook his head and said gloomily, "Even if you can't defeat the Three Tails with your lightning shunshin, you won't be defeated, but don't forget that there is an enemy in the dark, and that is the person who can control the perfect Jinchuriki. It would be nice if I gave you more time to practice." At this moment, he wanted to kill Obito, but he also knew that it would be difficult. Ishihara smiled when he heard this, looked at Sanwei opposite and said coldly, "Teacher, you underestimate my talent. Since there is a lack of secret skills, then create a secret skill. Isn't this what I'm best at?" Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then frowned and looked hesitant. "Of course I believe in your talent, but this is a battlefield. Fighting opportunities are fleeting. I'm afraid there isn't that much time to improve the nature of chakra. Whether it is cultivating the changes in the nature and form of chakra, or mastering the limits of blood inheritance, it takes time. But the enemy on the opposite side will never give him time." Ishihara shook his head, looked at Obito who was already impatient to launch an attack and said calmly, "I just said that I want to create new secret techniques, not learn them. Since the enemy is attacking our doorstep, we can't just repel the enemy." Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly, and then he laughed. Sure enough, this was the Ishihara he knew, and he was proud to the core. All he wanted was to defeat the enemy, or even escape and survive. But Ishihara was already thinking about counterattack. Mei Terumi, who was standing next to him, looked at Ishihara with a strange look in her eyes. Mizuki and the others were even more dumbfounded. "Are you serious? What do you need me to do?" Orochimaru asked expectantly. Ishihara made seals with both hands, shadow clone technique. Bang! The shadow clone appeared beside Ishihara, and then said, "Teacher, bring everyone with me. Let the main body delay the three-tail." Orochimaru glanced at Ishihara, and when he nodded, he immediately led Mei Terumi and the others to evacuate to the side. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.